Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. That's Carlene Bragg right in front of me. You don't see her, but I see her. That's all that counts.
You can hear me.
You can hear Carlene. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing. We're like glasses twins today.
We are glasses twins. I have been getting headaches a little bit after work. I'm not sure if it's blue light related.
Yeah.
I know blue light glasses, there's limited research saying that they actually work, but even if it's placebo, let me put it on camera for so you can see my glasses here.
Yeah.
Even if it's a placebo, if a placebo works,
Uh-huh.
I'll go with it. So this is one of my efforts here.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Whatever is a lot of it is mental, but I feel like in your case, because we talked about it, I think it is.
If it's mental and it works, it's fine.
But I think in your case, I think it's, hey, it's legit. We don't have to go into it in detail. But yeah, I think the glass, and plus I like the look. The glasses look.
Thank you.
I may be biased because I wear glasses.
Because you're a glasses wearer.
I'm a glasses wearer. So yeah, it is Friday Junior, aka Thursday, aka Friday Eve. We are here. We've almost made it to the weekend. Just want to point out, Panthers back at the bank tonight against the Steelers. Last preseason game. We're not going to see Bryce Young and any of the other starters, but it should be a good game. Sure. I will be tuned in because I am a Panthers fan, I don't have anything else to do tonight.
And there's plenty of Steelers fans around here. We got some
Sharif.
ones. We got a couple in house.
Sharif.
Yeah.
Sharif. My stepdad
Yep.
is a Steelers fan since the 70s.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of them.
it's a lot. That's a big story. But the big story, we want to get to our headlines. We don't want to waste any time. Hurricane Aaron. We are tracking Hurricane Aaron, keeping an eye on Aaron. So Aaron battered North Carolina's Outer Banks with strong winds and waves that flooded part of the main highway and surged under beachfront homes. We actually saw a video of one beachfront home drifting away, and it's kind of been the thing for the past couple of years there.
That's kind of been the worry because erosion has just been happening. I mean, it's really picked up, and those coastal homes have been kind of, I don't want to say dropping like flies, but they've been taking a beating.
Yeah, so it's rough out there. This is a monster storm that is moving slowly. It looks like it's out of our window as far as the Carolinas, but it is moving up the Atlantic. You're talking about Maryland.
This is Ocean City, Maryland right now, and you can see like it doesn't look pretty.
No.
Like, look at how far the waves are coming up on the shore.
Like that water where the trash cans are. I believe those
that's
are
rain. It was this camera was really rainy earlier.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So Hurricane Aaron is moving up the Atlantic. That is Maryland.
And this is Jersey. This is Cape May, New Jersey.
As Carlene was telling me earlier before the show, this is like the southern point
of the state.
Of the state. So it's right there, kind of like on an island.
You see those flags going, the double red flags.
And you see people there. They are away from the beach. I'll give them that. But we have seen people. We keep seeing people on the beach.
Yes.
In the water. If you can. Please stay away.
Stay away.
It's not even if you can. Just stay away from the water. Stay away from the beach for the time being. We want to keep you safe. I promise. We are not trying to spoil your fun.
Right.
We want to keep you safe here live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So we will actually have an update from the Outer Banks as they deal with the aftermath of Hurricane Aaron and some of that storm surge and high waves. In less than 30 minutes, a good friend to the show, Sam Walker, will join us there from the Outer Banks. Next headline, a sad day for the sports community here, NASCAR community, as legendary NASCAR promoter Humpy Wheeler passed away. He made waves with spectacular pre-race entertainment at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Speedway announcing his death today. There he is, Humpy Wheeler, 86 years old, died peacefully surrounded by his loving family, established himself again as a NASCAR promoter. And interesting enough, I was doing some reading. He had aspirations of being being an Olympic boxer.
What a turn he made.
What a turn. It shows you how life works. But he was pretty good. 40-2 as a boxer. Was a Golden Gloves champion. Retired from the sport in 1960. Actually is in the Carolina Boxing Hall of Fame. So he had a career in that. But a lot of folks, especially here in the NASCAR community, in the Charlotte community, know him.
You know the name.
Know the name. You know his voice. Carlene, you said you've been at races where he's been there.
Yeah.
And a legendary guy. You know
legendary
who he is.
Guy.
Legendary guy.
Yeah.
So 86 years old, a long life, a life well lived.
Made a lot of waves for motorsports, especially here in Charlotte.
Oh, man, yeah. So rest in peace to Humpy Wheeler. We'll have more on that coming up in our 2 o'clock hour with Miles Harris. Our last headline for the day, early voting starts today. We've talked a lot about the political landscape, I feel like, within the last few months, especially here in Charlotte. So early voting for the city of Charlotte primary election started today, and this gives voters a chance to cast their ballots ahead of primary day, which is Tuesday, September 9th. We have some major races. You're talking about the mayor's race, 4 city council at-large seats, and several district contests. So a lot at play. So early voting has kicked off ahead of that September 9th primary day. All right, so let's shift gears. So let's talk about a story that we've covered for quite some time here, and it's really sort of the fallout and what has come of the big beautiful bill legislation.
Sure.
And so we talked about it. Food pantries across not only our area but the country continue to work overtime. They are working hard.
I feel like we've even started to see sort of this kind of thing since the pandemic too.
Yeah.
The pandemic took a toll on a lot of these.
It's been one thing after another. The cost of groceries are up, so it's just a lot at play. These pantries are working to fill the gap. And as I mentioned, the USDA cutting back when it comes to food pantries, and we've been covering these impacts. One of our reporters who's been covering these impacts, Anna King, live in Chester County. Anna, I remember one of your stories was back in June in Charlotte, the nonprofit. This time you're in Chester County. Yeah. Tell us where you are and what are they facing?
Yeah, I'm here at the Fort Lawn Community Center, and staff here told me this transition has been tough on them. They told me the pantries here are seeing less food on the shelves, which means there's less food going out to families because they are still trying to serve the same number of people here, but the need just has not changed. So like you said, a big part of that is because of USDA cuts, so that means less food making its way here to the shelves. But leaders here did tell me luckily they are about to get access to a new grant, a $750 grant here, or $750,000 grant here that will bring more resources to this area. It's from the Duke Endowment, and that funding will go to help grow programs like the Fort Lawn Food Share, the Chester County Community Garden, and FAN, which is Faith, Activity, and Nutrition. So just all of these programs will hopefully provide another avenue for folks here to get food, those folks who need it most.
And I know you mentioned in the meeting about it being back to school. Kids there are back to school in most of, if not all of South Carolina. How are they adjusting with families and kids going back to school?
Oh, well, they mentioned that with the kids going back to school, that gives those kids more access to food because they're getting that food in the schools. But right now, who they really serve are those residents who are 65 and older and cannot work and do not have access to fresh food. So they come here. But they also mentioned that they also serve the working class, people who if anything were to go bad, as for example, a tire popped on their car, they would have to decide between getting food or fixing that tire. So that's who they're really serving here, and that's who they're trying to help out the most here.
All right, Anna King live there in Chester County, South Carolina, showing us a need there. She'll be on at 4, live at 4. You can catch her story at 6:15. Anna, thank you for your time. Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, again, a story that we continue to cover here with USDA cuts, and also, as Carlene mentioned, I mean, you have a pandemic, you have cuts, and it's kind of back-to-back type of things that are happening for folks, making it tough. All right, so weather, obviously, top headline. We want to check in with our forecast, not only with Hurricane Aaron, but also here in the Charlotte area. Again, we have a big game tonight. Should I say big game? Okay, big game tonight. Panthers, Steelers.
You tell me. You're the Panthers guy.
It's preseason, so I get hype about games, but it's preseason. I get it.
It's still something to be hyped about.
It should be. Yeah, I got some friends coming to town for the game.
Football's almost here. You can taste it.
Football's almost here. I can taste it. College football this weekend.
College football, baby.
We will cross that bridge when we get there. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, probably.
Yeah.
But again, as I know I got sidetracked, let's get to our full forecast with Majestic Store.
All right, let's give you some updates with this first, and then we'll switch over to our local forecast. You can still see Aaron way out there at the Atlantic. We had some impacts up and down the coast of North Carolina, but the biggest impacts really are continuing to move out of the area. The latest advisory coming out at 11 o'clock this morning, continuing to move now north-northeast at 18 miles an hour, so picking up speed and moving in the direction in which we have forecasted. That's where it's going to continue to go, and moving further and further away from the Carolinas Carolinas. Max sustained winds 100 miles an hour. This is still a Category 2 hurricane. Still seeing some imagery popping up indicating that we have moisture. We have some rain showers coming down up and down the coast of North Carolina. One thing we're really going to be paying close attention to, even as that storm pushes away, will be dangerous rip currents, not just today, but that takes us throughout the rest of our work week and into the weekend. So definitely something to keep in mind if you were heading out that direction. Category 2 hurricane still holding steady at 11 o'clock. Our latest advisory again. Notice you can see the track in which it's going to go. This thing is moving quite fast. By tomorrow, I think it's going to be way far out of the United States area and even further out into the Atlantic. And really by this weekend, turning into really just a remnant low. Here's what we're looking at, our tropical or surface map right here as Aaron continues to move more north and east out of our area. Back behind it, we will have some opportunities for scattered showers and even thunderstorms and more cloud coverage, just like what we have outside right now. Now, I think at times we could see a little sunshine peeking through, but those clouds over the last few days, they have been very thick and very stubborn. And overall, we have cooler temperatures ahead. Temperatures right now, though, mainly into the 70s and 80s. 81 degrees in Charlotte, 80 out towards Rock Hill, Hickory, 80 degrees for you, and 71 in Boone. Daytime highs today look a little like this. Below our average, we should be into the upper 80s, and today we're only forecasting 86 here in Charlotte. If you have plans this afternoon or tonight, plan for more clouds than sunshine, unfortunately. And again, I think we could see a few stray showers, even a pop-up thunderstorm. I think specifically for Charlotte, we'll have the best chance later on tonight, even into the overnight hours. So for the majority of our day, we should be all right. 86 will be our high tomorrow. We're heading into our Friday. That'll be nice, but look at that, only 80 degrees, struggling to even reach 80 degrees. And Saturday, the sun starts to come out a little bit more and we'll top those temperatures off into the lower 80s there. Another live camera look coming in from Dallas. A lot of cloud coverage there, even some dark clouds. And one thing we're going to be paying attention to will be those scattered showers and even those isolated thunderstorms that may develop this afternoon and especially tonight. Drop in temperatures for tomorrow, for our Friday, and then this weekend, just generally a cooler weekend with more opportunity for rain. This is what our rain opportunity looks like today, so rather low but not zero. So let's kind of look at this a little bit more. Our satellite and radar still showing Aaron continuing to move further and further away from the Carolinas. Still, you can see we do have a lot of cloud coverage out there, and we're actually starting to see a few showers and thunderstorms picking up on Doppler radar right now. This is well west of Charlotte, starting to move in from Bellwood through Shelby. Those little areas shaded in reds and oranges, that's where we are starting to see heavy downpours, even some isolated storm activity, and I think that's kind of how it's going to play out today. There's our 10-day forecast as far as those rain showers go. About a 40% chance tonight and into our Friday. And notice our future casts. Remember, this is what radar could look like later on in the day. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, starting to see more of those scattered rain showers pick up. Still a lot of cloud coverage. By overnight, this is early tomorrow, we could get some more shower and storm activity, more coverage. So that means you may be woken up by a loud thunderstorm or two. Highs over the next 10 days, they look like this. Again, below where we should be. We should be at 88 degrees, and today I'm only forecasting 86, low 80s as we're heading into our weekend and gradually warming by Sunday.
Looking at the forecast, I'm not gonna lie, it's not looking too good for my friends right now. As far as the game, my boy Perry is his birthday.
Okay.
Well, his birthday was yesterday, so his wife.
Happy birthday, Perry.
Happy birthday, Perry. Happy belated birthday. His wife Tia, he's a big Steelers fan.
Okay.
Wanted to take him to the game.
Sure.
And so she asked me, which a lot of people do. I understand. I would ask myself if I didn't work in news what the weather is.
Gonna be like.
So I said I'm optimistic. I mean, at the time it was a 30% chance, but now it's a 40% chance, and it looks like it's going to rain in the 6 o'clock window. They'll be getting in town around 4. I won't see him this time because obviously I'll be here. I'll be doing the 4 o'clock.
Well, rain. I mean, while rain isn't ideal, if it's not going to lightning.
It might though.
It was like you got the 8 mile.
I saw
rule.
the lightning graphic.
There's the 8 mile rule within the stadium. So just
That's
hope
true.
that it's outside of that 8 mile.
You're right. Yeah. I just.
There goes my hand in the camera. Sorry, my guys.
I'm not gonna lie, that threw me off at first. I was like, "What is that?"
I'm animated when I talk.
But that was a demonstration of what the lightning looks like.
Yes.
Carlene's hand.
How quickly it just comes in and goes.
There you go. Just that quick. So I'm sure they'll have a good time. But I think we're more concerned about the rain. But hey, what's a football game without some elements?
Without
You worked in Buffalo.
Unplanned.
You've been to a Buffalo Bills game.
Have I been to a
You
Bills?
know.
I know about snow.
It's not a Bills game if it's not snowing or cold.
It's rough.
But it's not a Bills game.
It's fun. It's so much fun. But let me tell you what.
It's not a Bills game.
It's a lot. If I'm a South Carolina girl and I was up there and I was I'd never seen real snow.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. All right. Okay. Enough about the Panthers. Let's get to some news. Some other news, I should say. All right. So we've been talking a lot about this. The redrawing of congressional maps mid-year. Texas House leaders, House Republicans, I should say, have passed that. It's been a discussion. Democrats there, House Democrats left the state in order to delay that. That eventually has passed. So Governor Newsom has threatened to do the same thing, in California, make the state bluer, as he said. I feel like he said it a little bit more. He worded it better than I did, but you get what I'm saying. But again, he wants state leaders to look at the congressional map, redraw them, out of a reaction of what's happening in Texas with GOP leaders there. So this is a live look at the capital of Sacramento there in California as they talk about redrawing those congressional maps. The California State Assembly meeting right now. Let's take a listen in to what's happening right now.
The Constitution, which only permits an election on redistricting on the ones of this matter, on the ones of every decade. The second bill is ACA 8. The third bill is AB 604. Both of these bills violate Article 21, Section 2G, which expressly prohibits the legislature from taking any action on redistricting as well as adopting any maps. Finally, a point of order to Assembly Bill 604, which violates Article 21, Section 2E, which says, quote, districts shall not be drawn for purpose of favoring or discriminating against an incumbent political candidate or political party. It is my understanding that both the governor and members of the legislature have said that they have partisan goals behind these maps. For all three of these bills, I ask they be removed from the file immediately and this body cease violating the state constitution.
Thank you, Mr. DeMaio. A lot of information. If you give me just a moment, please. Thank you for your patience, Mr. DeMaio. Your point of order is not well taken. Mr. DeMaio, let me explain my ruling first, and then you are more than welcome to appeal. All the measures that you've raised are properly before the House pursuant to the Constitution. Do you wish to? It's been moved and seconded to appeal the ruling of the chair. Clerk will open the roll. The chair is asking you for an aye vote to sustain his ruling. Mr. DeMaio is asking for a no vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 58, noes 18. The chair is sustained. Assistant Majority Leader Garcia, you are recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. I will move the call.
There is no item before, so we will recognize you once we do that. Okay, we're going to be moving to a vote on the consent calendar. At the request of the author, items 151, SB 482, Weber Pearson has been removed. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read the second-day consent calendar.
Assembly concurrent resolution 105 by Assemblymember McKenna and others relative to the music industry in California.
Clerk will open the roll on the consent calendar. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Assistant Majority Leader Garcia, you are recognized.
Move the call.
The call. Madam Majority Leader, you are recognized.
I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 69B to adopt late amendments on ACA 8 Rebus.
We're going to dispense with one item at a time. I'm going to recognize Leader Gallagher. Leader Gallagher.
Mr. Speaker, the member moved the call. I don't believe
Take your point of order, Mr. Gallagher.
The member moved the call. I don't believe there's anything before us.
The second-day consent calendar that you yourself voted on.
Okay,
we're going to move on in the ruling. Your point of order is not well taken.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Take your point, Mr. Gallagher.
We voted on the consent calendar. Correct. That's what approves it. So I'm confused by what is.
Clerk did not close the roll, Mr. Gallagher.
Okay.
Mr. DeMaio, you are recognized.
I will move consent from the motion.
Okay, Mr. DeMaio has requested withholding consent on the Majority Leader's motion. We will now open the roll on Majority Leader's motion. All members vote who desire to vote. The Majority Leader is asking for an aye vote. DeMaio is asking for a no vote. Motion was seconded by Mr. Garcia. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 58, noes 19. The motion carries. Okay, pursuant to Assembly Rule 69, the amendments were approved by the committee chair. The bill has been amended, it is out to print and back on file. All other amendments on this item that were pending at the Assembly desk are no longer in order, as they are not drafted to the current version of the measure. Madam Majority Leader, you are again recognized for your procedural motion.
Thank you. I request unanimous consent to suspend the rules to allow Assemblymember Berman to take up ACA 8 Rebus as amended without reference to file for the purposes of adoption.
It has been moved and seconded by Mr. Garcia. Assemblymember Gallagher, you are recognized.
I would have my own motion after this motion is canceled.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Assemblymember DeMaio, you are recognized.
With consent.
Okay, consent has been withheld. We'll move to a vote. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. Majority Leader is asking for an aye vote. DeMaio is asking for a no vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 57, noes 20. The measure carries. Assemblymember Gallagher, you are recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Being that this bill was, ACA was just amended, I respectfully request that we re-refer ACA 8 and SB 280 to the Judiciary Committee so we can have further vetting of these measures.
Just a moment. Okay, members, it has been moved and seconded, moved by Assemblymember Gallagher, seconded by Assemblymember DeMaio. Clerk will open the roll. Mr. DeMaio is asking for an aye vote. Majority Leader is asking for a no vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Majority Leader is asking for a no vote. Mr. Gallagher is asking for an aye vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 19, noes 58. Motion fails. Maya, you're recognized.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Right there, you're watching out of Sacramento, California. We are waiting a redistricting vote there at the California State Assembly. So we're going to step away from that. We want to take a quick break. We'll be back in just 2 minutes here on WCNC Plus. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene's here. Jeb's here. The gang is here. And it's a busy day. We have a lot to get to. Our top headline, Hurricane Aaron. I think we have a live shot for you right here.
This is Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey.
Okay, so so the storm, Hurricane Aaron, moving up the Atlantic. And you can see there that camera is doused in water.
It's soaked.
It is soaked.
You can see the double red flag there.
But it shows you just how strong the winds are. how wet it is out there in New Jersey, and we showed a shot earlier of Maryland, the coast area, Ocean City, Maryland. All right, so again, we've been keeping our eye on Hurricane Aaron, our weather impact team, but also another guy online who's been keeping his eye on Hurricane Aaron, all things Outer Banks. It's been tracking this, been following his videos on X. Sam Walker, OBX News. That's where you can find him. Sam Walker is here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Sam, how are you doing, man? Thank you for joining us.
We're getting a little tired, I think, but we're doing good.
You're doing a lot of work out there.
Yeah, man. You know, since Sunday, it feels like, since the evacuation order kicked in, that's when things go high gear for us out here, is whenever we start getting those types of things. So it's been a busy couple of days, and we're not done with this thing yet by any stretch today or the next couple of days, unfortunately.
All right, Sam, let's start with today. Like, what are you seeing today? Again, I've been scrolling on your X account. I saw the water spout. I saw the surge. What are you seeing out there, man?
Well, this morning, as expected, we had high tide around 7 o'clock this morning, and really the last couple of high tide cycles, we've seen the overwash start to build. The waves already were building since Tuesday, and really starting to see the highest of waves. And you couple that with the higher tide, which comes every 12 hours, and then you couple that with higher lunar tide. It's a mess, and it's been a mess for Ocracoke. It's been a mess for Hatteras Island. Not so much once you get across Oregon Inlet up into Nags Head, Killable Hills, Kitty Hawk, Duck, Southern Shores, and Corolla, and then you get up in the four-wheel drive area north of Corolla, the farthest, as far northeast as you can get in North Carolina without getting wet or being in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's a mess up there, too, all on the beachfront. I want to emphasize that other than some minor water level rises we've seen this morning with the Sound coming up a little bit in Hatteras and Ocracoke Village, this has really truly been right along the ocean front and just immediately behind the dunes, or in most cases where we talk about overwash, no dunes. It's been sand, it's been water. Highway 12 is closed in multiple spots. That's what led to the evacuation order being issued so early, is to get visitors out of here and then give residents a chance to get set. And if they want to leave, and the most part, they haven't left Hatteras and Ocracoke. So it's been a crazy couple of days out here. But like we usually say, we just call it Thursday on the Outer Banks.
I know that's right. Look, there was an evacuation order. Folks are told not to be on the beach, obviously not to be in the water. But we keep seeing folks in the water, on the beach. You've been doing this for 30 years now. Does that surprise you at all?
Not really. And I'll be honest, and when I say not really, let's start with the evacuation side of things. When you choose to live, or if you're 8th, 9th, 10th generation of living on Hatteras Island or in Ocracoke, you've chosen that life for a reason. And part of that is, that living on an island has its challenges. You're going to have to drive off island to go get health care. You're going to have to drive off island to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Target, those types of things. But you also become very self-sufficient. And the residents of Hatteras and Ocracoke, they don't leave. I mean, even we go back and look at Hurricane Irene, what happened in 2011 when you had 6 foot of storm surge on the Sound side and northern end of Hatteras Island, Rodanthe, Wave, Salvo, those areas. And you had an inlet cut. A lot of people had left because they felt like that, but when they left, they couldn't get back. And it took days, in some terms weeks, for people to be able to get back home to check on their houses. And many of them have chosen we're going to stay. We're not going anywhere. This storm isn't on that Irene, Dorian, Matthew level because it's an offshore storm, but they still know we're going to be cut off for a couple of days. They've prepared themselves. Now, when you see people in the water, I can tell you this. there really isn't many people, if at all, even braving them giving into the ocean today. Yesterday there were, and for the most part, people were heeding what the lifeguards are saying, and with the double red flags being up and things like that. People have been listening. We haven't had the number of rescue reports that we've heard about. Like Wrightsville Beach, 70 on Tuesday or Monday? And then at least over a dozen on Wednesday. We haven't had that problem up here. People have been pretty good about listening to our local emergency management in Dare County. They have an initiative called Love the Beach, RespectTheOcean.com, which puts out daily information about what the rip current risks are and how to be safe on the beach, whether it's not digging holes, whether it's not leaving your tents out on the beach at night because people aren't walking into them and sea turtles aren't getting damaged or messed up by them. People have been listening, and they've been staying out of the water for the most part. There's a few every now and then. And then when you talk about, the video that we've been sharing over the last 24 hours, most of that's been locals that kind of know, hey, I can go here and get this and not be in danger. We don't encourage that behavior by all means, but for the most part, people haven't done anything really stupid yet, thankfully.
Yeah, I think folks here inland, we were concerned because, we don't know. Obviously, we're telling folks, hey, be safe, stay out the water. And we see that and we're like, okay, we're just concerned here. So that's it's good to know and great context. One thing that we've been talking about, those beachfront homes and the erosion piece and all of that. And hopefully you could speak to this, what work is being done to preserve those homes? Because, year after year, not even just with Hurricane Aaron, but I remember last year and a year after that, and I guess I can keep going. Those homes keep getting washed away.
Yeah, and what you have there, it give you some context and some historical context. The oceanfront homes here on the Outer Banks were built over the last 50 years. You really didn't see people wanting to build houses on the oceanfront because barrier islands move. That's what they do. And when people started inhabiting this place in the over the last 100 years or so, they always built on the sound side way back because they knew the ocean was going to come and wash anything away that was out on the beach. Well, as development has happened, as we've built, houses out on these ocean fronts, we've built them with 300 yards of beach and an 8-foot tall, 12-foot tall dune in front of them. All that has been eroded away in these places that you're seeing where these houses have been collapsing. In Rodanthe, in Buxton, elsewhere on the Outer Banks. I can go back over the last 40 years and give instances in Kitty Hawk and Killable Hills and Nags Head where there used to be houses and you can go by and it's empty space. It's just dune grass because there were houses there that collapsed because of storms because we were not getting our beaches were eroding away. What's being done? One, beach nourishment. In the northern beach towns, like we talked about Duck, Southern Shores, Kitty Hawk, Killable Hills, Nags Head. There's been some beach nourishment in Avon and Buxton since 2011. But there are some areas that can't be because of the cost, and that's one area is Rodanthe. There's not enough properties there to pay for it because you got to use taxes. You got to use property taxes. You got to use occupancy tax, your hotel, motel, and meals taxes to help pay for these projects. Federal government's not going to pay for them. They were reimbursing once you did one, they'll reimburse you when a storm comes and washes things out. But the cost has not made it. It's cost prohibitive to do beach nourishment in a place like Rodanthe. So what's happened now is you've had these homes that have collapsed. There's about 17, 18 now in Rodanthe, which is the farthest eastern point in North Carolina, that are still threatened. Some of those property owners have been fortunate enough to find properties they could move those houses to, but some haven't. Some are just going to let them go. Buxton's a little different situation because there's really nowhere else to move these houses. And you're right at where Diamond Shoals is and Cape Point, Cape Hatteras. It's one of the most dynamic ocean fronts in the world. So every time you put sand on it, it goes away. So there are things being done. And this is a situation somebody just decided to build a house right in the middle of the surf zone. These houses, again, were 300 yards away. But over time, they've been eroded away. And I'll throw in this last little point. We're not New Jersey. We're not South Carolina. And we're not building boardwalks, and we're not building jetties on the beach. North Carolina has a very specific set of laws that prevents hardened structures along our beaches because we like our natural beaches here in North Carolina. So you're never going to see something like that in this state, especially out on the Outer Banks, because that's not something we do. That's the reason why so many people come to us, is because we are different from those other beachfronts.
That makes a lot of sense, Sam. Sam, I got to ask, what does the next couple of days look like for you and for the folks there? I'm pretty sure for you, sleep is not included in those plans.
Well, I will say, thankfully, where high tide is falling, it does kind of fit in the circadian rhythm right now. So tonight, 7:30 is high tide this evening. That will start seeing that overwash situation. Those dunes, or the dune run up, the waves washing up on the dunes as early as 4:30 this afternoon, about 3 hours, just because of the sheer power. This is when we're expecting the highest wave action to show up. So it's this evening. Tomorrow morning around 6:30 is high tide again. So we'll see another period that'll probably going to be very similar to what we saw this morning. Then things start to ramp down a little bit. Friday evening's high tide won't be as bad. Saturday, the overwash situation should really subside by Saturday. We're not going to be done with the rip currents. We're not going to be done with the rough surf. It's going to take a long time for the entire Western Atlantic to calm down. So not just here on the Outer Banks are we going to be dealing with the high risk of rip currents for into the weekend. It's going to be all of the North Carolina coast. It's going to be all of the mid-Atlantic. It's going to be the southeast. It's going to be the northeast, all the way up to Cape Cod. It's going to be rough surf. So this is not going to be a very good beach weekend at all, at least as far as if you're wanting to get in the ocean, go to the ocean and watch it. Yeah, it'll be fine. But do not even think about getting in it, no matter if you are the strongest swimmer. We can't emphasize enough, rip currents, they will kill you. More rip deaths happen related to hurricanes from rip currents in North Carolina and South Carolina than any other threat. The next, of course, is freshwater flooding, inland flooding, of course, like we saw with Helene a year ago, like we just saw with Chantal when you go up into the Triangle. And what you guys have been dealing with so many times in the Charlotte area with tropical systems that have come on shore and caused flooding. That's the second biggest threat, or the second biggest killer from tropical systems. The number one killer is rip currents. So, folks, just go ahead and figure it out. I know school's supposed to start this next week in North Carolina. Some folks like to start it a little bit earlier than they're supposed to. But that's a whole other topic for somebody who lives in the coastal economy. But, yeah, it's not going to be a great final weekend of summer in North Carolina, unfortunately, as far as going to the beach.
Yeah, CMS goes back to school Monday, so if you made those beach plans, just stay at home. Stay here in Charlotte.
I got a cousin who teaches over at Union Academy. They've been in since the first week of August. It's like, good gosh, come on, y'all. Have some summer for a change.
Sam Walker, you can catch up Sam Walker, obxnews.com, or you could be like myself, not only catch him online, but on X, Sam Walker, OBX. Sam, you're going to be busy. Stay safe out there. Thank you for your time. We'll continue to check in with you, man.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Man, some really great context there on what's going on there in the Outer Banks in relation to Hurricane Aaron, and just some overall historical context that, if you're new to North Carolina, you may not have known. Some stuff that I forgot. I'm from North Carolina. I forgot about, and a great interview there with Sam. And if you missed it, you can catch it on our digital platforms soon. Our digital team, momentarily, our digital team is pretty good. They'll have it up soon. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. Hang right here on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back here on Live Impact News. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene is here. Jeb is here. We have a lot going on. I don't want to waste your time. Let's go out to something happening live. This right now, it's been going on for a few minutes now. So this is in Stockton, California. So Florida's Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins is holding a press conference at the Stockton Metropolitan Airport, where he's expected to take custody of the undocumented truck driver accused of causing a deadly crash on the Florida Turnpike. He's answering questions now. Let's take a listen in to what's being said.
So his legal status, I know there's been a lot of discussion on this. I think we have to continue to talk about the fact that in 2018, he illegally crossed into California. He played the sanctuary game. He stepped into California's failed lax policies that have been here for years. And Gavin Newsom has continued to fail, continued to step into those. This state has led to how many lives being lost across our country? How many more people have to die from fentanyl, from gang activity, from illegal immigration problems before you guys take it serious, before Gavin Newsom takes it serious? In Florida, we do just the opposite. We take it serious. Now, guys, I do apologize. We're going to have to go. I know we're on a timeline. We don't want to miss those hacks. But I do want to thank each of you for being here today. It's incredibly important. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us and have some conversation. Y'all have a great day. God bless.
Do you know how many Florida residents are illegal immigrants that have driver's license? How many Florida residents have such driver's licenses that are illegal?
All right, so it looks like that just wrapped up there, that press conference there in Stockton, California. Again, Florida's Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins holding a press conference at the airport there in Stockton, California, where he's expected to take custody of the undocumented truck driver accused of causing a deadly crash on the Florida Turnpike. All right, so that press conference has wrapped up. If we want to go to something live, okay, here we go. All right, so let's go to Peachtree City, Georgia. So Peachtree City is about 45 minutes or so outside of the city of Atlanta. So Vice President Vance is there in Peachtree City, Georgia, to highlight President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill legislation and talk about tax cuts that, quote, they're delivering for the working class American families. So, again, that is happening. That is not VP Vance. He's expected to speak soon, but let's take a listen in to what's being said right now.
Today, because that is the backbone. Family businesses, small businesses is the backbone of our economy, and we want to incentivize them to strive here in the state of Georgia. And if I'm the governor, that will happen, I can promise you. This is a great opportunity, and I will tell you right now, somebody said, who's your competition? I said, I don't worry about competition. So I think you catch more fish watching your own board. That's an old Georgia term, if you don't know that, by the way. But I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on earning your vote. And I'm proud to have President Trump's endorsement last week. He said, thank you very much. I've been with President Trump since he first came down the escalator way back in 2015, and I've never wavered from him. And he rewarded me by saying, you know, Bert, you never asked for anything. When can I endorse you for governor? I said, now as good as any president. So I appreciate that. But when the vice president gets on stage, let's give him a great, warm welcome, a Georgia welcome, because it is such an honor to have him here today. I appreciate each and every one of y'all here. I appreciate the Brown family. I look forward to seeing y'all on the campaign trail. God bless y'all, and God bless the great state of Georgia.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. That is a live look there in Peachtree City, Georgia, where we are expected to hear from Vice President Vance to speak on the Big Beautiful Bill legislation there. Again, that crowd is gathered there. Speaker just got off the podium. It looks like Vance is on his way to the podium.
Yes, but
They're
playing music, which is copywritten, so
right.
we cannot
right.
air it, but I can I can listen to it. You can't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's shift away from that. Once Vance gets on the podium, we will get back to it. But for now, let's head over to California, Sacramento. Back to Sacramento, where lawmakers are meeting. Is this regarding redistricting there? Okay. So, yep, we brought you here earlier. Just want to make sure. They are voting on redrawing congressional maps. Again, been a big topic, not only in California now, Texas, and other states are rethinking that mid-year redrawing of congressional maps. So let's take a listen to what's being said right now.
And today I ask for your support for ACA 8.
Thank you. Assemblymember Court Silva. Assemblymember Todd, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to ACA 8. ACA 8 seeks to destroy democracy and violated California Constitution. I think you all heard about my personal story. I left the country in 1982 at the age of 19. And I came here with my family for freedom. And until today, the country that I left more than 30 years ago doesn't have any fair election. The country had been ruled by one party. And that party, they make their own laws. And they've been violating their own laws over time. And it hurt me and my family, my community, for what happened here in California. I still remember 2.5 years ago when I took an oath of office with all of you, my first oath of office here. We all pledged that we follow California state institution. I understand a lot of you have different opinions from the current federal administration in other states. However, what did we have in our office? We may have different opinions, different ideas, but at the end of the day, we have one goal: to serve the people in California. California has been very proud of independent citizen commission for the last 15 years. And for the last several days, we have built about election. And we didn't have even 30 days for community inputs. That is outrageous, unbelievable. A lot of residents and community members in my district, they've been calling me. They feel they're really frustrated. They didn't know what to do. They asked me, what is going on here? And you all know that in my assembly district, heavily immigrant communities. And a lot of us, we came here for freedom. So we really honor the fairness, because the country that we left has no fair election whatsoever. So I urge you all to listen to the will of the people. That the people that we've been serving. Why do we need to follow other states? We are elected by the people who live in California. We are elected by the people of California.
30 seconds.
With that, I ask you to have a no vote on ASA.
Thank you, Assemblymember Todd. Assembly members for, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise today to express my full-throated support for ACA 8. Members, we must act today with an unfaltering commitment to our democracy. Let's be clear. Today we are responding to a serious emergency for our country. Today's vote is an act of patriotism. The vote today is about protecting health care for millions of our people. It's about making people feel safe again. All our people feeling safe again, instead of fearing that they'll be snatched off the street with no warning. It's about protecting reproductive choice and safeguarding our planet. And it's about standing up and fighting an unprecedented and exigent march towards dictatorship. You know, my dad fought for this country in the Korean War. He fought and had rheumatic fever and spent his life with health care issues because of that and died an early death. He enlisted in the Air Force because of his love for our country and his love for our democracy. He would be turning in his grave if he understood what Donald Trump was doing today. When I look into my kids' eyes, and hopefully my grandkids' eyes in the future, I don't.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are approaching the top of the hour. Let's shift away from this. We want to go to some breaking news. We have got this in within the last few minutes, but we are tracking a possible active shooter on the campus of University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. This is a live look at the scene there. You can see a massive police presence there. That is a shot that we have been able to get. So here's what we have so far. This is from the NBC station there, actually in Nashville, where we're getting where I'm seeing information, and also on X. But let's start here at WSMV4. That's in Nashville, Tennessee. Again, this is what is on their website. So the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga Police and the Chattanooga Police Department are investigating a possible shooting on campus. The university put out the following message at 11:55 a.m. Quote, UTC alert, possible active shooter in a university center or library. Run, hide, fight. More info forthcoming. Now, again, this is the post.
This is a new one. This is
this is a new. Okay, this is a new vote.
15 minutes ago.
Okay, okay. I'll come back to that. But okay. So again, the campus is on lockdown. They're urging to the public to avoid the area. This is a look at the scene. You see all of those police, law enforcement vehicles there as they are investigating, again, this possible active shooter on that campus. So again, here is the tweet from UT Chattanooga. I should say post on X, not tweet. Post on X. So this is what it says. UTC alert. All individuals on the UTC campus should remain on lockdown. Do not move unless directed by law enforcement. Campus facilities are currently being searched by police. So again, this is a post on X. I'm guessing this I'm just going to put down a lower third real quick.
Sure.
Yeah, this is within the last 15, 16 minutes that we got this post from UT Chattanooga. And again, let me start from the top. Again, we're getting information from several different places, but again, possible active shooter. We actually have coverage from Nashville, from our NBC affiliate there in Nashville. If you want to go to that, until we can get to that, let me read what we have so far. Again, this is a live look at the scene. You see that big police presence That is the campus of the University of Tennessee of Chattanooga. Again, University of Tennessee at Chattanooga Police and the Chattanooga Police Department are investigating a possible shooting. They are calling it an active shooter there on campus. The university putting out its first message right before noon, telling students and folks there on campus to run, hide, fight. Again, that campus remains on lockdown. And I guess they're not in. I guess they're not in live coverage, but we'll continue to keep it here.
I was just reading on the website. It actually said it was saying something that they were asked to return to class. So we're just gonna keep an eye on this.
Yeah. So they were okay. So
that's what their super had just said on their coverage. And let me go back. Let's see. Here.
Let's do some digging right now. Okay, and this is Live Impact News, where in real time we are learning with you. So I'm not seeing Chattanooga police say that.
No.
We're checking different outlets just to kind of give you the process of what we are doing right now. We're going through social media. We're combing through different outlets to make sure we get you the most accurate information, just in case you're familiar with the area, from the area, know people that are there on campus. We just want to make sure you have the latest information. Let me refresh the NBC affiliate in Nashville, their page. They're still saying, again, in their headline, possible active shooter. I'm going to go over to our content partners there in Chattanooga. They didn't have anything up when I first checked and when we initially checked, but that could be different now. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything there. All right, so, and I have the series of tweets from Chattanooga Police to kind of give you this in order of what's been happening. So about 40 minutes ago, Chattanooga Police, and this is a live look outside of the campus, or at the campus rather, that large law enforcement presence there on UTC's campus. So here's what Chattanooga Police initially posted about 40 minutes ago. Attention, UTC campus is in current lockdown. Please avoid the UTC campus until further notice. Then about 10 minutes later, they posted an update. CPD is working with University of Tennessee Chattanooga Police Department to confirm shots fired reports that were called in. At this time, we have not located any victims. Then about 16 minutes after that, they posted regarding where media should be staged and where they will, I guess, eventually have a briefing to update everyone. So that's what we have so far. Again, we both have been furiously trying to research and find any more details. Of course, it's a developing story, so we are learning in real time as y'all are. Mm-hmm. In Chattanooga, from, I guess, distance-wise, maybe, a few hours away? Probably a little bit longer than that from Charlotte?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like it was...
And I could be shortchanging that. Again, I'm checking.
About 250 miles from us right now. So, let's see.
Okay. All right. And I'm checking right now.
Oh, 6 hours right now.
6 hours. Okay, 6 hours.
5 or 6, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely shortchanged it a bit. Checking Highway Patrol. See if they. All right, so again, this is a reported active shooter there on the campus of University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I feel like I keep refreshing. You might hear my mouse clicking because I just want to make sure I get up-to-date information on this. All right, so here's what we have. So we have an update. We do have an update. So update, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga has released a new update in regards to a lockdown on campus on Thursday. Here is what the NBC affiliate is reporting via the university's X account. So here it is. Quote, UTC alert, all individuals on the UTC campus should remain on lockdown. do not move unless directed by law enforcement. Campus facilities are currently being searched by police. So that is the latest update as of 11 minutes ago. Again, the campus is still on lockdown. Earlier, the university and what the NBC affiliate there in Nashville is reporting earlier, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga Police and the Chattanooga Police Department, they were reporting that they were investigating a shooting on campus. And the university put out a message just before noon, a UTC alert about a possible active shooter in the university center or library. Run, hide, fight. More info forthcoming. Again, as far as we know, the campus is still on lockdown. You see there is a strong law enforcement presence right there on campus. You know what? Okay, you pulled up a map. We were thinking the same thing, Carlene.
Yes.
I was thinking, okay, so it says university center or library. Am I good to take that?
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
let's take this. All right. So here's what we have on the side. This is the latest that we have right there. Possible active shooter. Campus still on lockdown. The first alert sent out just before noon. So here's a map of where we believe, and according to reports, this incident all unfolded.
This is just the heartless. I just searched University of Tennessee at Chattanooga just to kind of get an idea of where the school is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it kind of looks like it's just the heart. That's the heart of downtown to the left. So it's close to the middle of everything from Chattanooga.
And I believe this is a public university. Let me actually check. So university, I believe this is a public university.
Yes.
Okay, it is a public university. Okay.
Yes.
So again, this is the general area. This is the map of campus, right? Or the general area of where the campus is in relation to where everything is.
10,000 students.
Okay.
Undergrad.
Okay.
It's definitely not a small school.
All right. And so I'm reading from the Chattanooga Times Free Press. Again, we're kind of scouring the internet right now, scouring online to give you more information. Again, this is still labeled as a possible active shooter.
Nothing's been confirmed.
Nothing has been confirmed, and this is another outlet that I'm sourcing right now, the Chattanooga Times Free Press. Here's what they have on their website. The University of Tennessee at Chattanooga sent a message to students warning of a potential active shooter at the campus's university center or library. Quote, run, hide, fight. More information forthcoming. The Hamilton County Emergency Alert System followed up at 12:50 p.m. And again, that alert said, attention, UTC campus is in current lockdown. And again, not much. They have sort of a timeline, but I wanted to make sense for you guys at home if you're listening in. All right, and again, we are
clicking in real time.
Clicking and searching in real time. Again, that is a look at the scene. We have that camera there for you as we are working to get more information about what definitely happened. Again, there's a possible scenario what happened, but we are trying to get an idea what happened, what definitely happened. Again, possible active shooter at UT Chattanooga's campus right now. Again, I'm refreshing pages. Carlene is refreshing pages. Jeb is working behind.
We just got a new alert from the school on their X account. UTC alert. Law enforcement is completing a search of the campus. No threat has been identified at this time.
Okay, and that's on UTC's X account?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so you heard that?
Up here as well. Let's see.
Yeah. And this is why it's important to stay with us here on Live Impact News. We just want to make sure you have the right information. We want to hang on stuff as long as we can, just in case. Again, we just got this alert. The University of Tennessee at Chattanooga posting this on X. UTC alert. Law enforcement is completing a search of the campus. No threat has been identified at this time. So that is, it's weird to say, is a relief. Again, no reports of any injuries. No threat has been identified. I hesitate when I say a bit of good news because we don't know what.
We don't know the full story.
We don't know the full story.
But at least if no threat has been identified.
There is, as you mentioned, there's a sigh of relief.
Yes.
So again, I will say this, just to quickly summarize this. Just before noon, reports of a possible active shooter. The campus was on lockdown. We jumped right on this. What time did we get on this, Carlene? I actually had it written down.
We probably got on it
about 20
minutes ago.
20 minutes ago, we saw it.
We saw the shot go up, yeah.
And we went straight to it. And within the last few minutes, we got this alert. Law enforcement is completing the search of the campus. No threat has been identified. So there is that. Let's take a quick break. Again, we have been staying on this breaking news there. That's a sigh of relief for that campus. But let's take a quick break here on WCNC Plus Live Impact News. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Hang on. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News. All right, welcome back. It is 1:45 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for hanging with us. We want to go back out to a bit of breaking news that we have been following for the past 20 minutes or so. And this is a live look here at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga's campus. So we came on air, or I should say we came on the stream and popped this up because of what the university was reporting as a possible active shooter situation in the university center or library. The campus went on lockdown. You see this large law enforcement presence, but then the last few minutes we have learned that law enforcement has completed a search of the campus and no threat has been identified. This is the post that we came across on X. So a sigh of relief for those on campus. So we will continue to keep our eye on this developing situation as more information comes from this and from law enforcement and from the university. So, okay, let's pivot. Let's take a pivot. A lot of folks are maybe wondering about the weather, about Hurricane Aaron, about all the things here at home. So let's check in with meteorologist Majestic Storm for a full look at our forecast.
Well, good Thursday afternoon to you. I'm WCNC meteorologist Majestic Storm. I'm going to start with an update on Hurricane Erin, and then we're going to switch over to our local forecast across the Charlotte metro area and everyone else. So this is still a hurricane, a Category 2 hurricane. This is Erin, continuing to now move off to the north and to the east at 18 miles an hour. So it is picking up some of its speed, and this storm is going to be moving fast. It's still holding max sustained winds of 100 miles an hour with some of those gusts reaching 120. As we bring it back home across the Carolinas, you can still see some rain showers up and down the coast. We have seen some storm surge, some coastal flooding and erosion, and we've really seen those big waves. It seems like Erin was really a big wave maker. Over the next few days, rip currents will remain quite high, dangerously high. Not just today, but that includes Friday, Saturday, and then by Sunday, we'll start to see them get a little bit better, but still not the best conditions to be swimming out there. In addition to the rip currents, Erin has also brought really strong winds. Those winds will continue to die down, though, as that storm continues to track to the north and to the east. So we've seen the worst of Erin already, and now we're going to start to see improvements. And notice it's really been impacting just the coast. Inland not getting impacted by Erin, and especially not in Charlotte. It has been very, very quiet. Here's the track of Erin. Again, this is the latest advisory coming in at 11 a.m. Notice it's moving north and east really fast, and even by Friday and into Saturday, those winds will really start to die down fast, and eventually this weekend it's just going to turn into a remnant low. There's our satellite and radar. You can tell where exactly Erin is. It's still very well defined here, again still standing as a Category 2 hurricane, but as we're looking up and down the east coast, Erin's also bringing with it a lot of cloud coverage. We have cloudy skies, and that has been the scenario for us for quite some time. It has been very difficult for those clouds to break up and to let the sunshine peek through, and today's going to be no different. Here's our surface map, so you can see there goes Erin to the north and to the east. We're working with our own fronts, though, here in the Carolinas. Really, this has nothing to do with Erin right here, but we are watching for the opportunity for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. Not only that, but even into the weekend just a bit. We are looking at still a lot more cloud coverage than sunshine. If we get lucky, perhaps a little bit of sunshine peeking through those clouds later on in the afternoon, but again, scattered showers, isolated storms, even spotty downpours. Friday, it's tomorrow. We're heading into the weekend. I'm not kidding you. Temperatures tomorrow only top off into the low end of the 80s. And overall this weekend, it's not going to be cool. It's just going to be cooler than we typically should be for this time of the year. High temperatures today, again, rising really only into the mid to upper 80s. 86 will be our high today in Charlotte. And here's our hourly forecast. If you have plans this afternoon, it's going to be pretty mild for the most part, a warm and muggy day. And again, watch for those spotty showers and thunderstorms. A high of only 80 degrees tomorrow, 82 on Saturday. I don't think Saturday looks too bad, but those rain and storm chances, they will be there. Even over the next several days, early next week seems quiet and also a little bit warmer. Notice scattered shower activity throughout the daytime hours, and then by tonight, a few storms could wake us up. There's our temperatures over the next 10 days. Only 80 degrees tomorrow, 82 on Saturday, and then warming things up by Monday, nearing 90 degrees. There's that 7-day forecast. If you get that sunshine today, you're one of the lucky ones. But also be mindful if you have any plans, those passing showers and thunderstorms will be possible at any time. Hope you have a great Thursday.
Yeah, I know two people that have plans tonight, and I don't think I'm going to text them and let them know about the rain. I think they just, I don't want to
find out just they're on their own.
Yeah, I don't want to be a wet blanket. I don't want to, it's a
fun.
birthday celebration.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a wet blanket. All right. That is your full forecast. All right, so let's go back to Sacramento, California. We've been on and off this, but this is a big deal. We're talking about redrawing congressional maps, something that's happening in Texas. Now they're in the process of doing so at a reaction to Texas here in California. And this is a conversation that's happening nationwide. Let's take a listen in.
Pelosi and other Democrats from the DCCC from California were here. What would be more constructive is that you jump on board to Kevin Kiley's bill, pass it on the national level, and therefore we won't have mid-decade redistricting. So members, again, going back to the census, 2020, there's been massive population shifts since 2020. And when you look at these maps, for example, Los Angeles has lost representation in the last 5 years, but under these maps, they pick up a seat. The Inland Empire has gained population over the last 5 years, but they lose a seat. And it's very clear in federal law that these districts have to be equal in representation. So if you use the 2020 census as it was stated here before us, this will be thrown out by courts because it is very crystal clear that the deviation that you have when you draw congressional districts is very, very small. And members, you know this is wrong. You know what you're doing today is wrong. You know it's not good for democracy in California. And you weren't elected by anybody. You weren't elected by the people of Illinois. You weren't elected by the people of Texas. You weren't elected by the people of New York or North Carolina. You were elected by the people of California. And you were elected to defend the Constitution. The Constitution, again, I believe my colleagues, whether you knew it or not, violated the oath of the Constitution that you swore to. And I do believe, I understand, but the ends don't justify the means. You know this is bad for independents, Democrats, and Republicans throughout the state of California. I want you to look deep inside your soul, and you know this is wrong moving forward. You know this is not good for democracy in California, and I'm urging your no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam President, may I respond? So, would you like to respond in your quote? I can do that too, but I just wanted to make sure that it was known, if I may, just to refute some of the misinformation that had been put out. Can you hold on for just one moment?
What's the motion?
Senator Gonzalez, unless someone has asked you a specific question, which there was not a question, we're going to have you use those in your close. Okay. Senator Ianiello, you are recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I hope you will indulge me for a moment for a bit of digression into some political history. No misdirection, just the facts, ma'am. In 2008, Proposition 11 was put on the ballot to establish the Commission for Redistricting for state legislators, and I think also the BOE. And my friend from West Sacramento was correct in I think the Assembly Elections Committee yesterday when he said that bill barely passed. It was definitely a squeaker, maybe less than 1% over 50%. That's correct. There is a rest of the story, though, which I'll get to in a moment. Importantly, one main opponent to that proposition was the California State Democratic Party. Well, what do you know? Now, fast forward, 2010. Proposition 20 was placed on the ballot to perhaps correct an incompletion of the previous Proposition 11 to add congressional districts to the Commission's responsibility. That's what we're talking about here, congressional districts, not what Proposition 11 did, only state offices, but congressional districts. Now the rest of the story. that proposition passed overwhelmingly, over 60% of the vote. Interestingly, there was very little opposition to that proposition. Now, this is important. There was a reason for that. What is the easiest way to defeat a proposition? That's where misdirection comes in. Confusion. There was also on that ballot Proposition 27, which proposed to completely abolish the Redistricting Commission. Get rid of it. Not maintain it, which we're talking about supposedly here, but get rid of it. The ostensible proponent for that in the literature was UCLA professor and former chair of the Fair Political Practices Commission, Daniel Lowenstein. But he said the real sponsors were Democratic members of Congress. Well, what do you know? The contributors to that campaign, which ranged from $5,000 to $225,000.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are approaching the top of the hour. Right there is a live look inside the California State Assembly as they vote on redrawn congressional maps there in Sacramento, California. We want to take a step away from this, and we want to go to something live. We want to go to Peachtree City, Georgia, which is about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta, where Vice President Vance is there. He is speaking right now. He is on stage talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill legislation. Let's take a listen into what VP Vance is saying.
Hot Atlanta sun. I felt bad for him, but Bert, thank you. You're going to make a great governor for the state of Georgia, and we're with you every step of the way. Now, I understand we got a little preview. This is my idea. Little preview of the Senate race here in the great state of Georgia. How'd they do, ladies and gentlemen? Do good? Well, let me thank Coach Derek Dooley. Derek, thank you for being here. Let me thank Representative Buddy Carter. Buddy, thank you. Good to see you, man. And of course, the great Mike Collins. Mike, thank you for everything that you do. It's good to see you, man. Now, here's the thing. We're at a great American facility. I want to thank these great workers behind me. I feel bad for these guys because they got to stand up the whole time I'm talking. You guys get to take a seat, and boys, strap in, because we're going to be up here for about 3 hours. You give a politician a microphone, and it's always tough. Boys and girls. We've got a few ladies back there, too. But here's the thing. This facility, this manufacturing plant represents what makes America great. Because the products that you build, the jobs created here, the ingenuity and the technology and the development and all the things that actually make America run are built right here at this incredible facility. So thank you to Alta, thank you to the workers, and thanks to the people who make this facility run. Now, I heard something before I went on, because there's this big refrigerator right behind me, right? And somebody told me it was 13 tons, is that right? That's a big refrigerator. Now, am I also right that a lot of the products that you guys make go into Chick-fil-A? Is that right? Okay, I know that's a great Atlanta company, but as a customer, a frequent customer at Chick-fil-A, I've got a personal connection because you guys make a great American company run, and that's what I love about this country. When you guys make a great product, it enables more great products to be made. That creates more jobs for our people, that creates more American innovation, and it creates more prosperity for the American worker. And I'm here, of course, as a representative of the President of the United States that has done more for the prosperity of the American worker than any president in a generation. So can we give it up for President Donald J. Trump, because I know he's watching. And I know what the president ran on and what the president cares about is building things right here in the United States of America. It's another reason why I'm proud to be at Alta today. Because for a generation in this country, we had American presidents and American political leaders, and let's be honest, folks, it wasn't just Democrats, it was Democrats and Republicans who would ship our jobs overseas, close our factory doors, and do not a damn thing for the American worker. So how nice is it in Washington, D.C. to have a government that is going to protect your jobs, that's going to fight for this facility and say, very simply, if you're building it here, if you're making it here, if you're producing it here, we are going to give you, and already have given you, a big fat tax cut. That's a good thing. But if you make it overseas, if you try to do something with a foreign worker as opposed to an American worker, if you try to ship our great American jobs and great American factories overseas, then you are going to pay a big fat tariff before you bring that crap back into the United States of America. And that's what President Trump's economic policies are all about, my friends. It's the carrot and the stick. We want to make it easier to build in America. We want to make it harder to build overseas. We want to make it easier to rely on our great American workers because we got a lot of them. American businesses ought to employ American workers. And we want to make it harder to employ foreigners to take those jobs from the Americans who deserve them. And most importantly, if you're working hard every single day right here in the United States, or if you're building a business right here in the United States, you ought to have a tax code that rewards you instead of punishes you, and that's what happened when we passed the Working Families Tax Cut just a couple of months ago, and of course, Brian Jack was a critical part of that, so you should be proud of your congressman. Now, what does this law mean for you? What this law means for you is that your take-home pay is going to go up over $10,000 over the next few years. What that means is that if you're working an hour of overtime, the federal government is going to keep its money the hell out of your pocket. Because if you're working hard, the government ought to leave you alone. Ain't that the truth? Do any single moms out there? Any single dads, any people who work hard every single day? I had a single mom, and for a time my mom worked at a restaurant. She waited tables, like a lot of folks out there. And you know what we did in this new law? We said that if you're working hard and you're making your income via tips, we are not going to tax tips anymore because we want to give everybody out there that's working hard for those tips a little bit of relief. And that's what the Working Families Tax Cut did. No matter where you are in this country, if you're working hard and play by the rules, you ought to have a government that stands up for you instead of fights against you. That's why we increased the child tax credit in the Working Families Tax Cut. That's why we eliminated taxes on overtime and on tips. And that's why we had the biggest tax cut for families that this country has ever seen, because we believe that you ought to keep more of your hard-earned money, and we believe that if you're busting your rear end every single day, the government ought to make it easier for you and not harder for you, and that's why we fought for that legislation. Now, I am just a vice president. I'm just a lowly politician, but I'm going to try my hand at prophecy today, ladies and gentlemen, because I see the future of the state of Georgia, and in about a year, you are not going to be able to turn on the television without Senator John Ossoff pretending that he supported the Working Families Tax Cut when in reality he voted against it. And I saw a TV clip of him today. You know why he said he voted against no taxes on overtimes? You know why he said he voted against no taxes on tips? You know why he said that he voted to raise your taxes by the biggest amount in a generation in this country? Because he's allegedly worried about people getting kicked off their health care. Well, you know what? The President of the United States made a promise, a sacred promise, that the only people who are going to lose access to health care are illegal aliens who shouldn't be in this country to begin with. Because I happen to believe that Medicaid belongs to American workers and American families. I happen to believe that when you are struggling in this country, we're generous people, and we want to help you. But we want to help the people who have the legal right to be in the United States of America. So it's not about kicking people off of health care. It's about kicking illegal aliens the hell out of this country so that we can preserve health care for the American families who need it. And that's what the Democrats never talk about. That's what they'll never tell you. They'll say, well, Republicans want to do this to health care. They want to do that. They want to do all these terrible things. When in reality, if you look at what the Democrats have done, what they've tried to do is to allow millions and millions of illegal aliens into this country, to give them benefits that ought go by right to American citizens, and then to attack Republicans when we dare to stand up for the American citizens who have the right to be here. So when you watch those TV commercials in a year, and John Ossoff, I tell you, he's going to pretend to be a reasonable moderate. He's actually going to run TV advertisements, I promise you, because I ran against a guy like this in the state of Ohio, where he says that he supported President Trump's agenda. But in reality, while John Ossoff pretends to be a moderate when he comes to Atlanta, he is a far left liberal in Washington, D.C., and that's the only place that it actually counts if you're a United States senator. So why don't we ask John Ossoff, why did you vote to raise taxes? Why did you vote to keep illegal aliens on Medicaid? Why did you vote to bankrupt Medicare? Why did you vote to make sure that people who work overtime and earn their income from tips pay as much to the federal government as possible? And the simple answer is because John Ossoff, whatever he pretends to be in his television commercials, he doesn't give a damn about the 3rd District, and he doesn't give a damn about the people of Georgia, but we do, and we're going to fight for you every single day. Let me just leave you, my friends, with a final thought. I want to thank you all for being out here, and again, thank the folks behind me, the great workers of this facility. And I'll take a few questions. Should I take a few questions from the media? Okay, I'll do that. So we'll take a few questions from our great reporters, hopefully some local reporters back there, but I'm sure some national fake news as well. But, you know, I went to Union Station in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Anybody here ever been to Union Station? Okay. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, really a monument to American greatness. I was walking around, I was looking up at it, these beautiful high ceilings. It looks like something out of a fairy tale. And I remember that 2 years ago, when I took my kids to Washington, D.C.'s Union Station, I actually had a crazy person screaming at my 3-year-old kid. Because for some reason, and I never understood this, American leaders decided it was compassionate to allow people to fester on the streets, yelling at our young families instead of giving them the medical care that they need and getting them off the streets, which, by the way, makes it easier for us to all enjoy these great public spaces in our country. And I haven't been to Atlanta in a little while, at least now with the Secret Service detail. I haven't walked around Atlanta in a little while, but I bet that as great as Atlanta is, and as beautiful of an American city as it is, there are places in Atlanta where you wouldn't take your family today. Is that correct? Just like in Washington, D.C., the national capital of the greatest nation in the history of the world, there are no-go zones where you would not take a young family or you would not take young children. And that's true, I'm sure, all across the state of Georgia, all across our country, because our leaders decided that they would make our streets safe for criminals instead of safe for the people who pay our taxes and keep our communities going. And I think that of all the things that I'm most proud of the president, the thing that I'm most proud about is that he finally put the government to work for the people who actually make this country function and run in the first place. We're cutting taxes for American taxpayers. We're securing the border. We've got 99% reduction in illegal border crossings in this country because we got a president who empowered Border Patrol to keep us safe. And we got a president who's standing with law enforcement to make it easier to clean up our streets, to make them safe for our young families. If you're a person, I don't care what your political party is, but if you're a family and you want to take your kid to a nice meal in downtown Atlanta, it's about a 40-minute drive, take your kid to a nice meal in downtown Atlanta, you ought to be able to without being harassed by a criminal. We got to take America's streets back for the American people, and that's what the President of the United States is doing every single day. And as a person who grew up in a family where we often struggled with money, you know, it is never the rich people that lack public safety in this country. When we go to war against our cops, when we flood the border with illegal immigration, when we close down great American factories, it is the people the Bible calls the least of us that struggle the most and hurt the most. So I'm proud to be here as your vice president. I'm proud to be here as a representative of President Trump. Thank you. But I'm most proud that we have an administration that is making it easy, whether you're rich or poor, to walk down the street with a semblance of public safety. I'm most proud that we're fighting for the jobs of the people behind me and the jobs of every single working person in this country, and we're fighting to make sure that you pay low taxes instead of a bunch of garbage to the federal government. I'm proud that we serve an administration that cares more about American citizens and our public safety than giving Medicaid and Medicare to illegal aliens, which is what John Ossoff wants to do. In other words, I'm proud that the kind of family that made me who I am finally has a representative and a fighter in Washington, D.C. I promise you, we'll keep on fighting for you every step of the way. God bless you, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. That is Vice President J.D. Vance wrapping up his speech there in Peachtree City, Georgia. He is they're touting the One Big Beautiful Bill legislation there in Peachtree City, Georgia. Again, Peachtree City, as I mentioned before, is about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta. It looks like he's still talking. I know he said thank you and there was applause, but I guess let's tune back in. Okay, it's questions. Let's listen in.
A few local media questions first, and then we can get to the national folks. Semper Fi, sir. God bless you. I think we have a microphone back there. If we could pass around. Sir, go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, I'm Richard Elliott with WSB TV here in Atlanta. You've heard the criticism from Democrats that making the Trump tax cuts permanent comes at a cost to Medicare, SNAP benefits, and other things like that. How would you answer some of those criticisms by the Democrats?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that question. Look, there are a couple of responses to that criticism. First of all, the only people that we say should not get free government health care benefits are illegal aliens and those who refuse to try to even look for a job. It's very common sense. We want, and look, we are going to bankrupt this country if we keep on giving the people's benefits, the people's Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security benefits to illegal aliens who have no legal right to be in this country and never paid into the system to begin with. That is never the design of those programs, is to give them to every person all over the world. They ought by right to belong to the American citizens who paid into those programs to begin with. And that's what we're fighting to make sure happens. And the second response I'd say to that is look, we did a lot in this legislation. Brian worked on it. The other representatives here worked very hard on this to make sure that a lot of our rural hospitals are struggling because of some of the policies of the Biden administration. So what we did is we put a lot of resources and a lot of changes in regulations to make it possible for our rural hospitals to stay open despite what the Biden administration did to them for 4 years. So our policy is very simple. Whether you're in a big city or a small town, we're going to fight for your access to health care. Whether you're an American citizen who's been here for 70 years or an American citizen who's been here for 2 years, we're going to fight for your access to a government that serves you. But if you're an illegal alien, you do not deserve government-paid health care benefits. You need to get out of our country, and that's as simple as that. Next question.
Mr. Vice President, Greg Bluestein with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thanks for being here. I have a follow-up to Richard's great question on those health care funding cuts. There are Georgia Republican leaders who are legitimately concerned that more than 100,000 people could be knocked off the Medicaid rolls, not just people who are here undocumented or illegally, but people who are working class, who are struggling to get their health care. What message do you have for state Republican leaders on what they should do to reconcile those issues?
Well, the first thing I'd say is the state Republican leaders and frankly state Democratic leaders, if you're worried about American citizens losing access to health care, the Trump administration always has an open door policy. And we worked with a number of our colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, at the federal legislature, but also at the state level, to make it possible to ensure that American citizens have access to the medical benefits that they need. It's as simple as that. So you're always going to have an open door. Now, we understand that reforms are complicated. Sometimes this stuff takes time to work itself through the system. Many of the changes in the working families tax cuts to Medicare, or excuse me, to Medicaid, you're not going to see that stuff. It's not even, some of it doesn't even go to effect for 6 or 7 years, in part because we want to give enough time to work with people to make sure that American citizens do not lose access to those critical benefits. So if you look at the way we design the law, if you look at the way that those reforms are implemented, and if you look at all the other, we want to work with people to make sure that American citizens get what they're entitled to. What we do not want is people who have no legal right to be here, to benefit from the generosity of the American taxpayer, and to bankrupt those programs. So long as you work with us on those goals, we'll work with anybody, whether you got a D or an R next to your name, because we care about this country. We want to make sure it's secure and healthy. Next question. We had a couple hands back here, but okay, we got a school back there. We do. Okay, well, let's get them a microphone.
My name is Virgil Garrett. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Of course, thank you.
I'm here with the Central Educational Center, CCS-TV. The CEC is a college and career academy focused on training high school students to enter technical and trade industries. Can you tell us how the big, beautiful bill will impact us and our prospective jobs? And also, how is the administration focusing on schools like ours?
So tell me, did you say your name was Virgil? Virgil, tell me a little bit more about your school.
Central Educational Center, we have classes focusing on trade and other industries. We have audio, video, aviation, cosmetology, dentistry, and students have
Got it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. He asked me, Virgil, you asked me to comment on the school. I figured I should learn a little bit about it. I should learn a little bit about it before I commented on it, but I appreciate the clarification there. I mean, our proposal and our principle in the Trump administration is quite simple. We want Americans to be able to pursue their American dream. Whether that means going to a trade school or going to a 4-year education, going to the military, we want to give you as many options as possible. And what happened for a long time in this country is that you had both parties, both sets of leaders saying, no, 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 no. The only pathway that we're going to fund, the only pathway we're going to help you with is if you want to get a 4-year degree. If you want to get a 4-year degree, great. But if you want to be a plumber or an electrician or a pipe fitter, your government ought to fight for you too. And that's exactly what we want to make happen. And I do, you know, Virgil, part of that is policy. Part of that is making sure that things like Pell Grants and other federal benefits, they don't pick and choose. They don't discriminate against our great trade schools. But part of that is leadership. And I think it's important for those of us who are in positions of leadership to say that, you know, there are so many great careers that require you use your hands and your head at the same time, where you can earn a great living, you can build something great for your fellow citizens and people in your community. We're not going to have enough housing. We're not going to have plumbing that works. We're not going to have lights that turn on unless we've got enough people going into our trade schools. We got to have more kids doing it, more young people doing it, because they're the ones building the American dream of home ownership. They're the ones building the future, and we're going to fight for you every step of the way. Thank you for your question, Virgil. And let's do a few more questions here, then I'm going to have to hit the road. Sir. Where do we got a microphone?
Vice President, Raul Bally, WABE Radio here in Atlanta. Wanted to ask you about something, your final topic on safety. Do you see the administration putting soldiers in the city of Atlanta?
Well, look, what we've done is we have focused on Washington, D.C. because it's a federal city under our jurisdiction, but we certainly hope that whether it's Atlanta or anywhere else, people are going to look around and say, we don't have to live like this. It turns out if you just go and arrest the bad guys, you can have cities and streets that are safe again, and we hope that people see what we're doing in Washington, D.C. and follow our example all across the country. I'm a big fan. Look, I grew up in a small town. I love our beautiful countryside and our rural areas, but I love our big cities too. And I want you to be able to go shopping or go and get a nice meal with your family without the fear that you're going to get mugged or even worse because you had the audacity to take your family out for a day in one of our great American cities. We don't have to live like this. All we need is politicians who actually care more about public safety for American citizens than they do for violent criminals. In Washington, D.C., in 10 days of what Donald Trump has done in Washington, D.C., did you know armed robberies are down 55% in our nation's capital? It's amazing. You know, murders in Washington, D.C. are down over 35%. Again, that's in a week and a half of just taking crime seriously. And there's something, you know, Democrats had this weird sickness in the head 5-6 years ago where they decided that all law enforcement was racist. You know who suffers the most, especially in our urban areas, when you don't allow the police to enforce the laws against bad guys? It is the good citizens, disproportionately black Atlantans, who suffer the most from high violent crime. Because you've got more, or at least a disproportionate number of black Georgians living in Atlanta compared to other places. So when you empower police to prosecute violent criminals, that's not racism, that's empowering everybody, black or white, to live safely in their communities, and that should be the God-given right of every American citizen to walk down the street in safety and comfort. God bless you, sir.
Reardon with Atlanta News First. I know you're here to talk about business and manufacturing. I wanted to ask you about the spending bill's impact on individuals. There was a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office report that came out last week showing that the bottom 10%, the poorest Americans, would lose about $1,200 a year on their income, while the top 10%, they would add about $13,000 annually to their income. Can you justify for those poorest Americans those differences?
Well, first of all, the Congressional Budget Office, sometimes they put out reports that are absolutely atrocious, and I think this is a good example of a very atrocious report. The most important thing for people who are living at the bottom of the income ladder is that they not pay taxes on their income sources. So if you're working hard and you're working overtime, you're going to get a big fat tax cut. If you're working at a restaurant or some other business where you're earning your wages primarily through tips, you're going to get a big fat tax cut. And most importantly, the president's economic policies are going to prevent your job from being shipped off to Asia or to Mexico. That is the very best thing for people at the bottom of the income ladder, and that's why we have the economic policies that we do. If you go back 50, 60 years, what is the fastest period for blue-collar wages rising in the United States of America? It is the time that we are living in right now, thanks to the economic policies of Donald J. Trump. You know what the worst thing for people at the bottom of the income ladder is? It's when you flood the country with millions upon millions of illegal aliens and force our poor Americans to compete for jobs against low-wage foreigners who don't even have the legal right to be here. That is what destroys the wages and the livelihoods of people who are struggling in this country. We want to empower them to live the American dream. That's why we're protecting their jobs, lowering their taxes, and fighting to make their country safe again. And I'll do one more question.
Sir, I'm George Cheedy. I write for The Guardian. I live in a small town, less than 1,000 people. I'm also a military veteran. I am a DINFOS-trained killer just like you.
Thank you for your service, George.
In 1996, in Atlanta, when the Olympics was coming through, Atlanta very famously rounded up people who were homeless on the street, downtown, bought them bus tickets and sent them out of town and often out of state. The was a lot of negative sentiment about that later. It's one of the things that people remember. I am concerned that in the press to eliminate encampments in D.C., something similar to that is happening. What is happening to the people who are homeless, often poor, often have a mental health problem or a drug problem? Where are they actually going when these encampments are being broken?
So first of all, George, I was 12 years old when the 1996 Summer Games happened in Atlanta, so I don't remember exactly the background there. I was worried about football and fishing and doing all the things that a 12-year-old in southwestern Ohio was worried about. But I think that the question betrays a certain misunderstanding of what we're trying to do and what is the nature of real compassion. I talked earlier about my son being harassed at Union Station a couple of years ago. Now, first, as a father, you have some vagrant screaming crazy stuff. I'm sure a lot of us have had this experience where you have some vagrant screaming crazy stuff at your 3-year-old. As a father, my first reaction is grab my son closer, make sure that he's safe. Okay, then you realize the person's not going to maybe run and charge and attack us. We'll just keep our distance. But then you think, wait a second. Why have we convinced ourselves that it's compassionate to allow a person who's obviously a schizophrenic or suffering from some other mental illness, why is it compassionate to let that person fester in the streets? You see them, a lot of them have clear mental health issues. A lot of them have clear physical health issues. They're not properly clothed. They're not properly cared for. Some of them are wasting away. The compassionate thing is to have people who are having mental health crises, to get them in treatment, not to let them sit on the streets and yell at our people while they're walking by. And so the president actually signed an executive order to make it easier for some of these people to get access to mental health treatment. And I don't know for the life of me what happened in this country where we decided that the compassionate thing was to let somebody fester on the streets instead of get the treatment that they need. It's very simple to me. And I don't know why we accept it as parents and as grandparents and as people who just want to walk down the street in comfort, why we accepted that it was reasonable to have crazy people yelling at our kids. You should not have to cross the street in downtown Atlanta to avoid a crazy person yelling at your family. Those are your streets, paid for with your tax dollars, and you ought to be able to use them like any other citizen of this country. So let me close. I know I said that was the last question, so let me just close with this thought. There are a number of things I could say about President Trump's leadership and a number of things I could say about what we're trying to accomplish in the Trump administration. Put very simply, we're trying to make America great for Americans again. When you hear that phrase, make America great, we want you as a taxpayer, as a worker, as a business owner, we want you to be able to enjoy the incredible benefits and bounty of the United States of America. This country was built by your grandparents, by your parents, by your forebears. You ought to have the right to live a good life in this country that wouldn't even exist.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We are at the bottom of the hour, 2:30. That was Vice President J.D. Vance talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill legislation, taking delivering answers, taking questions. I know that didn't sound right coming out. Taking questions from reporters there in the metro Atlanta area, Peachtree City to be exact. Let's take a break. We want to take a quick break. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Hang on. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene's here. Jeb's here. We have a busy afternoon, and we are keeping this train rolling here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, so let's talk about a story that we brought to you at the beginning of the show. So today we are remembering the life of Humpy Wheeler. If you are from the Carolinas, from the Charlotte area, a big NASCAR fan or familiar with racing, then you know the name Humpy Wheeler, a legendary NASCAR promoter who made waves with his spectacular pre-race entertainment at Charlotte Motor Speedway, has passed away. The Speedway announcing that today. We want to send it straight out to WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris, who was there at Charlotte Motor Speedway outside there on a beautiful day there, remembering Humpy Wheeler. And Miles, I know you spoke to those close to Humpy. What are they saying about him?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of talked a lot about that at the very beginning there, Nick. Really just who he was, the impact that he made. I mean, they called him an entertainer's entertainer, with really how he just really brought the excitement and entertainment to NASCAR with the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I mean, what I'm standing behind, or in front of, I should say, with the Charlotte Motor Speedway, he made a huge impact on not just NASCAR, but really putting Charlotte, putting that sport on the map. And what was so fascinating to really hear when I talked to, whether they were here, people at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, whether they were friends, loved ones, people that knew him very closely, worked alongside of him here though too. They talked about really just the impact that he has made, and really transitioning and really transforming the sport into what it really we know it as now, and really thinking outside the box, not just things that happen between the start and finish line, but really just trying to bring that entertainment, bring those memories for families really throughout his time here. And what was so crazy, Nick, to hear people talk about it here was, you know, his impact came in here with the sport of NASCAR before the Carolina Panthers were even here. So hearing how he was able to kind of really bring that entertainment, that excitement through a sport like NASCAR into the Charlotte area, and really helping put that onto the map, truly an inspiring story, and really an awesome one to hear and catch up with some people out here as well, Nick.
It has NASCAR really becoming like a second career for him. He's a boxer. He's in the Hall of Fame when it comes to boxing. Such an interesting guy. Any stories that stuck out to you when covering the story today about Humpy Wheeler?
Yeah, I would say, and not necessarily a story, but I just think it would also describe who he was. You know, one of the things that he really talked about with people, whether they were people that wanted to get into broadcasting or anything that had any ties with the sport, was he'd always tell them not to use cliches. Don't you know, to use any of those things, because they're not those people's words. Make them original. And what that challenge did for people was really help them think outside the box, had them kind of be creative, but also really push them even beyond their limits of what they thought. And so I talked to a guy named Doug Rice, who was working very closely with Wheeler for so many years. And he even told me straight up, hey, without him pushing me, without him using that no cliche kind of rule, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And so hearing those stories, knowing that impact and the difference that Humpy made, truly inspiring, like I said, but it's also awesome to hear that those stories still resonate to this day.
Man. Miles, that is awesome to hear there. You can catch Miles at 5 p.m. here on WCNC Plus and on the TV side, WCNC Charlotte. Miles, we look forward to seeing your story a little bit later. Thank you for your time, man.
Get it. Thanks, Nick.
All right. Yeah, a legendary guy there. Again, if you're familiar with the sport, you know Humpy. Carlene,
even if you're not,
yeah,
if you've watched Cars, you've heard his voice. He played Tex Dynaco.
Yeah.
In the Cars movie, which is
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was the voice, so it's a big deal.
Legend in his own right. All right, so let's check in on the forecast. Let's check in. I know a lot of folks wonder, they're probably going to the game tonight. The Panthers play the Steelers at Bank of America Stadium. They want to know if it's going to rain. And then also we're keeping an eye on Hurricane Aaron. Let's check in with meteorologist Majestic Storm.
Well, good Thursday afternoon to you. I'm WCNC meteorologist Majestic Storm. I'm going to start with an update on on Hurricane Aaron, and then we're going to switch over to our local forecast across the Charlotte metro area and everyone else. So this is still a hurricane, a Category 2 hurricane. This is Aaron, continuing to now move off to the north and to the east at 18 miles an hour. So it is picking up some of its speed, and this storm is going to be moving fast. It's still holding max sustained winds of 100 miles an hour, with some of those gusts reaching 120. As we bring it back home across the Carolinas, you can still see some rain showers up and down the coast. We have seen some storm surge, some coastal flooding and erosion, and we've really seen those big waves. It seems like Aaron was really a big wave maker. Over the next few days, rip currents will remain quite high, dangerously high. Not just today, but that includes Friday, Saturday, and then by Sunday, we'll start to see them get a little bit better, but still not the best conditions to be swimming out there. In addition to the rip currents, Aaron has also brought really strong winds. Those winds will continue to die down, though, as that storm continues to track to the north and to the east. So we've seen the worst of Aaron already, and now we're going to start to see improvements. And notice it's really been impacting just the coast. Inland not getting impacted by Aaron, and especially not in Charlotte. It has been very, very quiet. Here's the track of Aaron. Again, this is the latest advisory coming in at 11 a.m. Notice it's moving north and east really fast, and even by Friday and into Saturday, those winds will really start to die down fast, and eventually this weekend it's just going to turn into a remnant low. There's our satellite and radar. You can tell where exactly Aaron is. It's still very well defined here, again still standing as a Category 2 hurricane, but as we're looking up and down the East Coast, Aaron's also bringing with it a lot of cloud coverage. We have cloudy skies, and that has been the scenario for us for quite some time. It has been very difficult for those clouds to break up and to let the sunshine peek through, and today's going to be no different. Here's our surface map, so you can see there goes Aaron to the north and to the east. We're working with our own fronts, though, here in the Carolinas. Really, this has nothing to do with Aaron right here, but we are watching for the opportunity for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. Not only that, but even into the weekend just a bit. We are looking at still a lot more cloud coverage than sunshine. If we get lucky, perhaps a little bit of sunshine peeking through those clouds later on in the afternoon. But again, scattered showers, isolated storms, even spotty downpours. Friday, it's tomorrow. We're heading into the weekend. I'm not kidding you. Temperatures tomorrow only top off into the low end of the 80s. And overall this weekend, it's not going to be cool. It's just going to be cooler than we typically should be for this time of the year. High temperatures today, again, rising really only into the mid to upper 80s. 86 will be our high today in Charlotte. And here's our hourly forecast via plans this afternoon. It's going to be pretty mild for the most part, a warm and muggy day. And again, watch for those spotty showers and thunderstorms. A high of only 80 degrees tomorrow, 82 on Saturday. I don't think Saturday looks too bad, but those rain and storm chances, they will be there. Even over the next several days, early next week seems quiet and also a little bit warmer. Notice scattered shower activity throughout the daytime hours, and then by tonight, a few storms could wake us up. There's our temperatures over the next 10 days. Only 80 degrees tomorrow, 82 on Saturday, and then warming things up by Monday, nearing 90 degrees. There's that 7-day forecast. If you get that sunshine today, you're one of the lucky ones. But also be mindful, if you have any plans, those passing showers and thunderstorms will be possible at any time. Hope you have a great Thursday.
All right, so that is your full forecast. We want to head to something live. We want to go back out to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We brought this as breaking news here on Live Impact News about, at the time, possible active shooter. So let's get updates. We're getting updates now from UTC, from law enforcement. Let's take a listen into what's being said right now.
Nobody has been transported to the hospital. Our partners, Chattanooga Police Department, Chattanooga Fire Department, Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, Hamilton County EMS, our neighboring agencies. I saw Red Bank officers from the Housing Authority, and our federal partners all respond. And within quick fashion, we were able to check the appropriate locations and make sure they were all secure. And at this point, our students, faculty, and staff have been notified that there is no threat to campus. They have been released for the balance of the day. Normal operations will resume tomorrow. And at that juncture, I don't know if anybody else would have any comment they would like to provide. Any questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. Some reports of shots fired at Erlanger just a little bit ago. Just want to know if that's related at all, or kind of if you have any information on that.
Yeah, there was a call that came in. At this point in time, there's been nothing to substantiate that there was any type of violence or violent act whatsoever. We're not really sure where that confusion came from, and that is actively being investigated.
And then another thing we just saw from some students was a video of someone being taken out on a stretcher. I don't know if you guys have seen that or if you know if that has any relation to the situation.
Well, what we do know, not in the immediate proximity to where this call came in, we did have a student have a medical emergency, and they were tended to by medical personnel, but it's not specifically related to this incident. I would also add that UTC Police, along with the City of Chattanooga and Hamilton County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, will be investigating the circumstances behind this call, but we don't have any further information about that at this time.
So do you know if the call itself came from here on UTC's campus, or is it a fair possibility that it's one of these situations where it's someone calling from a random location, spoofing their location to be here?
That's part of the investigation, so I can't make comment on that right now. Anything else?
Well, I guess just for the sheriff or the police chief, I know we've seen this in the past with Brainerd a couple of years ago and then Chat State last year, where both of those situations became these kind of spoof threat calls. If this indeed turns out to be another one of those cases, does that impact the way you respond to a situation like this?
Well, so our response is going to, especially our initial response, is going to be the same no matter what. It has to. Lives depend on it. We can never assume that something is fake, right? So just as in this case, you're evaluating the number of calls that come in, did we speak to a person? Was it, what type of information do we have on the call taker? But those are things that are being worked through on the backside by people that aren't responding. Our job is to preserve life. That is our number one goal and our focus, and that is all we're focused on. So as we're responding, we're going to do the exact same thing every single time. And then once we're getting on the scene and getting deployed and we're, again, further assessing the situation, what other information are we getting as we're moving into buildings and talking to students and talking to faculty? We're factoring all of that in, and we're all communicating that information back and forth to one another, right? And that's what drives the decisions as we go forward. So, several minutes after this had already been, going on, we had officers that were, actively searching buildings, bringing students out and things like that. We were asking all those questions, right? What is this? How many calls did we get? We were asking all those questions at the time, and that gauges our response. We were able to slow down the response from law enforcement, go ahead and hold with what we had because we had enough resources on scene, and then continue to move forward with evacuations and searches, just to make sure that if anything were to change, we didn't just dismiss everyone. We still have plenty of resources on site that we could respond no matter what.
Final question about today.
Yes, was anyone detained as a result of the incident?
No, at this time, no. Nobody is being detained. Again, it's an ongoing investigation. Okay.
Dr. Bruce, could you speak on what resources, obviously it's a scary event for students here today that, had to go through this. Can you speak on what resources are available for them?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the students. They had a very measured response. They evacuated calmly. And so from all the reports I have, the students responded in a very measured and calm manner. And they did exactly what they've received training for over, much of their life. And so I want to say thank you to the students and the staff and faculty for responding appropriately to the situation. Moving forward, we've canceled classes for the day to give time for people to settle down from the disruption. And obviously, they can, if there's anxiety or anything, they can go to the counseling center. They can contact the student counseling center, and those types of resources will still be open and available for the students.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you all.
Yes.
We'll have a
All right, so it looks like they just wrapped up a press conference there, the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga law enforcement, regarding the incident from earlier that we brought you here on Live Impact News as it was happening. But we do now know it was a false report of an active shooter, and everything is seemingly back to normal there on campus. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll step away for 2 minutes. Again, I promised 2 minutes. Hang here on WCNC Plus. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene's here, Sharif's here, Jeb's here. Everyone is here in the studio. So since everyone is here, let's talk about it. Panthers, they play tonight. Yes, they play tonight. Last preseason game. We'll get some updates from Nick Carboni. He's going to be live at Bank of America Stadium at 3:45. But until then, it's time for my analysis. No, I don't really have much
Everyone
of an
wants to
analysis.
hear what you have to say.
It's not really much to break down. Last preseason game, they're taking on the Steelers. Sharif's team. He's a Pittsburgh guy. Don't leave now, Sharif. No, but yeah, they're taking on the Steelers. They're going to be a lot of folks in town. There's always a huge fan base that goes to Carolina games when the Steelers come in town.
There's a lot of Steeler fans everywhere.
There are a lot of Steelers
like
fans everywhere. You can't get
every
rid of them.
Every corner, every nook, there's a Steelers fan.
Man, let me not say anything to offend Steelers fans. But it's going to be a good game. It's a good audition for those guys who are right there on the fringe of making the team. I'm thinking of a guy like Hunter Renfrow. I'm thinking of a guy like Jimmy Horn Jr. So we will see them. Julian Council locked on, breaking down everything we need to know ahead of this preseason game. Let's take a listen in to our good friend Julian.
No, the Panthers starters aren't playing on Thursday night, but that does not mean that there's not still plenty of things to look out for during the Panthers preseason finale. I'll tell you what I'm watching out for right here on Locked On Panthers.
You are Locked On Panthers, your daily Carolina Panthers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Panthers podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, as always, Julian Council, talking Carolina Panthers with you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and yes, of course, Friday, your team every day. That's our motto here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for watching the show right here on YouTube and listening wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Be sure to follow me, Julian Council, over on Twitter and Blue Sky at Julian Council, because starting on Wednesday, September 3rd, it's back. The weekly Wednesday mailbag every single Wednesday throughout the regular season and quite possibly the playoffs here on Locked On Panthers. But in the meantime, you can at me or DM me over on Twitter at Julian Council, or at me over on Blue Sky, also at Julian Council. Any questions, any thoughts that you have pertaining to the Carolina Panthers? Today's episode, Locked On Panthers, brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. We're back again here on Locked On Panthers. Panthers welcome in the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday evening for their preseason finale. And no, we will not see Bryce Young. We will not see Derek Brown. We will not see J.C. Horn or any of the primary starters here in Carolina. But we will be seeing plenty of Jack Plummer and a bunch of backups who honestly have a lot to play for on Thursday evening. And Dave Canales said this way back in June, that the preseason was going to matter. When asked about the wide receiver numbers way back then, he said it's going to matter. When asked on Tuesday about can guys potentially win jobs based off of what they do in this game on Thursday night, he said yes. So Thursday does matter. It may not be the sexiest thing and what you necessarily want to watch, because who really is that excited about watching backups? But understand, this is a job interview. For a lot of these guys, it's the last impression they can have on the coaching staff, and it does matter. It is important. And yes, I will be there to watch it all and break it all down with y'all live from the press box after the game on Thursday evening, maybe early Friday morning, depending upon how late it takes for me to get to that point. So here are the things that I'm watching out for against Pittsburgh on Thursday. Well, number one has to be the wide receiver battle, right? We know right now, and we'll talk later about a potential trade that could make a lot of sense for Carolina. But right now, Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, Tanner McMillan, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be on the roster. Well, maybe one of them won't be here, but they're on the roster. Jalen Coker, he's safe. Hunter Renfrow, I'm guessing he's safe. David Moore, we'll see. Jimmy Horn Jr., we'll see. Bryson Tremaine, we'll see. The battle for the last wide receiver spot, whether that's going to be the 6th spot or the 7th spot, 8, dare I say, I think that'd be a bridge too far. But the battle for the final spots at wide receiver for Carolina will be settled on Thursday evening. Last week, we saw Bryson Tremaine, who has been a star out at camp, made some plays, was actually the leading receiver for the Panthers on Saturday afternoon in Houston. He was the first wide receiver to come into the game after Legette, after McMillan, and after Thielen, which made me go, especially considering that Hunter Renfrow was available. Now, Jalen Coker wasn't. I'm guessing Jalen would have been that 4th wide receiver had he not had the illness that caused him to miss Thursday's joint practice and then, of course, Saturday's preseason game. So Bryson Tremaine, he got the first opportunity, and he made some plays. And he can also help out on special teams. So it feels like he has a great chance to make the roster right now. Jalen Coker, who I mentioned missed last week, he will play. I don't imagine he's going to play a ton, but Dave Canales wanted to get him back out there after missing some valuable reps. This does not say anything about his status on the team. It's just he wants to get him out there after he missed so much time. And I'm guessing that even had he played last week in joint practice and the preseason, maybe he gets a series or 2. I'm not going to imagine he's going to play a ton on Thursday, so that may not have changed either way, but they want to get him out there one last time. Jimmy Horn Jr., big opportunity for him. The talk of the town was he's going to come in and be a returner. Raheem Blackshear very clearly has lost that job after we saw Trevor Etienne be the primary kickoff returner, even punt returner on Saturday. And Jimmy Horn was out there a couple of times as well. So this is his last chance to show his worth as a returner. And he has not necessarily done a lot on offense either. So if he's going to make the team, and if he's going to be a part of a duo there with Trevor Etienne, who's been placed back there with Rico Dowdle on kickoff return, Thursday night's going to mean a lot for him. And Hunter Renfrow's been pretty quiet since the hamstring injury, since Hunter Renfrow Day a couple of weeks ago when Dabo was in town. We were all just amazed at what he had been able to do. He went at length talking about what he had gone through over the last couple of years with the ulcerative colitis, and it was such a great feel-good story. But since then, he got hurt. Jalen Coker's balled out. And you kind of forgotten about Hunter Renfrow and what he can bring to Carolina. You're not as excited as you were back then. Maybe you were and still are, but I don't know. I'd like to see Hunter get some good reps in, make some plays. And yeah, he's got Jack Plummer at quarterback, but he also has Bryce Perkins potentially for a little bit of time. So want to see what Hunter Renfrow is able to do so he can also potentially solidify a spot on the initial 53-man roster in Carolina. So the back of the wide receiver roster, the depth chart there, that is certainly the top thing I'm looking out for. The backup offensive line as well. Excited to see what Brady Christensen does at left tackle. Looks like Chandler Zavala is going to be back from that patellar tendon issue. As long as there wasn't any sort of setback the other day, it seems like he's going to be fine. He can get out there. And if he is healthy this week, next week, and heading into week 1, Damian Lewis seems to be really in question whether he's going to start on the road in week 1 against Jacksonville. Chandler Zavala would be the next man up. Maybe Brady Christensen gets that opportunity. Maybe Cade Mays, who was filling in there the last couple of practices. But I'm thinking that Chandler is going to be that guy at left guard. So him getting some quality snaps, playing a lot on Thursday, playing well would go a long way to feeling good about where Carolina's head with the offensive line, whether they have Damian Lewis or not. And if he doesn't play well, there's still Brady Christensen, there's still Cade Mays who'll be starting at center, and there's potentially Ja'Tyre Carter, who did get the opportunity week 1 against Cleveland to start at left guard. Did not get the opportunity last week. He was banged up in that game against Houston, bounced back. He's totally fine. He'll be starting at right guard, but he has a chance to earn a final roster spot because you have the top 5 guys in Ike Ekwonu, in Damian Lewis, in Austin Corbett, the starting center, Robert Hunt at right guard, and then, of course, Taylor Moton at right tackle. Then behind them, it's Brady Christensen, it's Cade Mays, it's Chandler Zavala, it's Josh Nijman. And is there a spot for one more? And if there is, Ja'Tyre Carter, you're right there playing alongside the other 4 backups. This is your opportunity. Aside from what we already seen in the past, this is your chance to solidify the 10th spot on the offensive line here in Carolina on Thursday evening. But let's look at the other side of the ball as well. We talked to Chris Carter of Locked On Steelers. He was telling us that the Pittsburgh Steelers' young offensive line, guys like Zach Frazier, are going to be out there starting and playing a lot on Thursday evening. That's great, because the Panthers have some questions as far as the interior defensive line depth goes. Now, we know that Derek Brown, he's going to be a stud. Bobby Brown III, what his role is going to be. Turk Wharton, A'Shawn Robinson. Those 4, you like those 4. And in the NFL, with the limited amount of snaps that you play because of the running clock, that's good enough. And you have a guy in Derek Brown who can play 90% of the snaps throughout a season. Now, you don't want to ask him to do that again, of course, but you know that with those 4, you're fine. But if an injury happens, who can step up and fill that 2 deep and help out the top 4 on the interior defensive line? LeBron Ray, he's been banged up the last couple of weeks with a high ankle sprain. Dave Canales said the other day that he did not bounce back the way they were hoping, but there's still a possibility he could play on Thursday. If he doesn't play, does he make the roster? I'm not so sure. He did get a couple of first-team reps during joint practice against Cleveland, so it's possible that they do like him enough to where he could not play and still make it. But it's a big day for Shai Tuttle. Remember, he got a pay cut back in the spring. He was willing to take it. I don't think he had much recourse. As far as making money this year in the league, I don't think anybody else was going to pay him what he's getting paid in Carolina. And there's a role for him on this team as a backup, as potentially that 5th guy. But he's got to beat out Cam Jackson, who may be back and ready to go on Thursday. He's got to beat out Jaden Crumedy. Like, is Cam Jackson going to make this team? Because I look at the unofficial depth chart. They put out another one the other day, and he's still 4th string. And that is exactly how I've seen things play out. Corey Thornton, 4th string, that's not true. But Cam Jackson, 4th string, that is true. Jaden Crumedy, that is true as well. So I'm very curious how many guys they end up keeping on the interior defensive line once the initial cut down happens next week, and who earns that 5th, maybe 6th spot. Well, that's going to potentially be determined on Thursday night as well. The kicker competition, the kick controversy. Of course, this is the last opportunity for Matthew Wright and for Ryan Fitzgerald to prove Tracy Smith correct that there is an NFL kicker on this roster. I mean, Matthew Wright, there was a great article by Alex Zeitler, the Charlotte Observer, friend of the show, about what he's gone through to get to this point to potentially be a full-time starting kicker in the National Football League, having to work regular jobs, having to do all these other things to chase after and potentially realize his dream. But I'm rooting for him. I'm also rooting for Ryan Fitzgerald, who was outstanding last year at FSU, banged home a 50-plus yarder last week and showed the kind of leg that Eddie Pinheiro didn't necessarily provide to Carolina. And by the way, Eddie Pinheiro is still available. So if things don't work out with Matthew and things don't work out with Ryan, they could always circle back there to Eddie, but I'm guessing that is not necessarily what they want to do. So this is a final opportunity for both those guys to get a chance. And I hope for their sake that Jack Plummer and Bryce Perkins can move the damn ball down the field and give them an opportunity to actually kick a field goal and actually get kickoffs, because they have not gotten any work in the preseason through the first 2 weeks. Let that be the case, hopefully, on Thursday evening. Then the final thing, speaking of Jack Plummer and Bryce Perkins. So Jack Plummer is not going to make the 53-man roster, rightfully so. He's just isn't that good. Had 2 interceptions last week. And I saw someone put it out there on Twitter, like, was Jack Plummer good in college, or was he just hanging out in Charlotte and they decided to put him on the roster? Like, he actually had a nice season at Cal, had a good enough season at Louisville. I do think he was the thing that really held them back from potentially beating that undermanned Florida State team that got snubbed the next day, not selected in the top 4 of the college football playoff. I didn't think it was great. He put up good enough numbers. I wasn't the biggest Jack Plummer fan. And then even from what I saw last year, what I've seen so far this year, yeah, I don't really see it, man. I know who was good in college, Bryce Perkins. And I know who was the UFL MVP, Bryce Perkins. I don't think Jack Plummer, if given the opportunity one day, will be the MVP of the UFL. And I don't think that's shade. Is that something you want? Maybe it is. Maybe that'd be the highlight of his football career. I don't know. But Bryce Perkins is somebody who has ties to the organization. He's old enough to where he was teammates with Mike Bercovici, a special offensive assistant back at Arizona State. And he knows some of these people from his time spent in LA with the Rams, where he actually started and had to play in a game in the NFL. If he goes out there and plays well enough to where it's like, okay, maybe there's something here. Does he earn that practice squad quarterback spot over Jack Plummer? I wouldn't be opposed, because you cannot tell me that Jack Plummer's better than Bryce Perkins. Maybe Bryce Perkins goes out there and looks terrible and makes me look like an idiot. But come on. Even if that's the case, ain't no way that Jack Plummer is better than Bryce Perkins. And if Jack plays so much better than him, probably because he's been in the offense for 2 years. And Bryce Perkins has been in the offense since Monday. So we'll see how it plays out. But those are all the things, among others, that I'm really looking out for on Thursday night when the Panthers host the Steelers for their preseason game ahead of the 2025 regular season. Wide receiver, that was one of them, one of the back end spots. The Panthers keep 6, so they keep 7, probably not 8.
All right, so yeah, everybody's hyped for football. Obviously tonight, the game. Jeb, what time? 7 o'clock? I'm not putting it in a spot. 7 o'clock. Okay, so everybody's excited. Last preseason game before things get really spicy for the league. By the way, I'm Colin Mayfield. Jeb Goldman is here as well, here on WCNC Plus inside the Impact Studio. We've got the next hour or so for you, and we've got a lot of movement happening in California. Obviously, redistricting is the talk of the land over the last 2 weeks, if not 3 to last month. But we expect a vote on a redistricting plan at the State House in California. Now, this is to put this on the ballot in November. We have numerous representatives speaking at this at the State Assembly, so we'll go to this in real time.
We'll be walking around being the President of the United States in the White House. And that our governor then will be able to pass federal independent redistricting commission for all states. And by doing that, we can have a balanced, level playing field where every single person counts, and we have representation that is returning resources for our communities. I put faith in the people of our state to decide their future. That while we might not have been a state when our nation was created, we are the bearer of its future. It is incumbent on us to rise up and to defend our democracy. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Rambula. Assemblymember Tongipa, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This measure before us is neither bold nor principled. It is in plain terms a blatant attack on the most transparent process our state has ever had for drawing congressional districts. It undermines what has become the gold standard for the nation, the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. The commission was created to restore fairness, to ensure representation in California is not based on which party controls the government, but on principles of independence, transparency, and community. And it worked. Californians can look at their districts today and they know that they were not manipulated for partisan advantage, and now in just 4 days, with 2 rushed committee hearings and almost no opportunity for real public comment, we are on the verge of throwing all of that away. Let me remind this body, during committee hearings, one of our colleagues brazenly admitted that this entire thing was about partisan gerrymandering. Admitted. Partisan politics. This was a direct response to the question about protecting voters and underserved communities. Not a word about fairness, not a word about transparency, an open admission to partisan gain. So how can we stand in this chamber and criticize Texas, Florida, or other states for gerrymandering when we've joined them in the same practice? How can we demand fairness in the courts or before Congress when we're willing to sacrifice it here at home? We have lost all credibility. Let's not forget, this is not free. We are wasting money and resources on an election that is unnecessary and unwanted. Every dollar spent on this political stunt is a dollar not spent on addressing the cost of living crisis or wildfires, not spending on improving our schools, not spent on keeping our communities safe, and not spent on expanding healthcare access. Californians never asked for this election. What they did ask for was to fully fund Prop 36, which this legislature failed to do. What they asked for was for us not to ration Medi-Cal because Californians and families are dying. Dying. We were told at the start of this session that our priority was addressing cost of living. Yet I haven't seen any bills rushed through 4 days to lower utility rates, to make housing more affordable, to bring down our food prices. But when it comes to the bills that serve political ambition, suddenly 4 days is plenty of time. Suddenly co-authoring bills without even reading them is no problem. This isn't just bad policy. It flies in the face of established fact. Study after study shows gerrymandering reduces federal dollars coming to our communities, depresses voter turnouts, disenfranchises us, and even leads to lower wages. None of that helps Californians who are already stretching every single penny thin. None of it helps to cover rent, grocery, gas. None of that helps the families that are deciding whether to pay for medicine, or if they can afford their utility rates, or if they can make an insurance payment, or if they can afford to even buy a house for the next generation. None of it. These facts again highlight my concerns with our spending problem and leveraging the future. $10 to $30 billion structural deficit is what we were told with the LAO and the Department of Finance. That is year over year, all the way to 2028. If we don't stop this reckless spending on measures like this, we're going to drain what's left of our rainy day fund, and we're going to have to make significant cuts for Californians. And you are saying for partisan gain, it is worth it for families that are dying. To me, the message from the majority party is clear. Principles and independence only matter when it's politically convenient, and Californians can do worse better.
30 seconds.
Shameful. The level of Trump derangement syndrome in this party is debilitating our ability to govern properly. It is being claimed that the reason for this bill is to combat authoritarianism before redistricting, before the big beautiful bill, before any cuts were implemented. It was this legislature that stripped the minority of the committees because they spoke out in opposition. It was this legislature that restricted our time. The real authoritarian problem is in the mirror. The whataboutism can
Thank
go
you,
forever.
Assemblymember
Illinois
Tangipa.
and everywhere else.
Thank
But
you,
it's
Assemblymember
unfortunate that the
Tangipa.
youngest member of this committee.
Assemblymember Harbidian, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's an old adage for lawyers that when the law is on your side, you pound the law. When the facts are on your side, you pound the facts. When neither the facts or the law are on your side, you pound the table. And I'll tell you, my friends on the other side of the aisle, we've been hearing a lot of pounding the table today. Most of what we heard, including what we just heard, was completely hyperbolic and devoid of fact. And with all the bluster, let's be clear about the admission of partisan gain. There is a representative that will go down in history in Texas, one by the name of Representative Todd Hunter, who admitted that this was nakedly partisan, what happened in Texas. And I quote, "The underlying goal of what happened in Texas, as Mr. Hunter said, of this plan is straightforward: to improve Republican political performance." That is the admission of partisan objectives that we should be focused on. That is the admission of gerrymandering, that why we are here today. And for every friend across the aisle that stood up today, including my friend from Fresno, that has held up independent commissions for redistricting as the model, when my friend from Merced introduced AB 1441 for independent redistricting in her district, every single one of you voted against it. So save it. This is about one thing. It's about one man trying to control California, trying to control our country. We will not bend, we will not break, and we will do everything in our power to save California and save our country. This is one of the proudest moments of my short term as a legislator here. It's one of the easiest votes that I will take, and I will be very proud when the California people who ultimately make this decision actually help us save our country. I request an aye vote, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Assemblymember Harbidian. Assemblymember Hoover, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree with my colleague from Linwood that this is not a fight between Democrats and Republicans. In fact, redistricting has never been a fight between political parties. It has always been a fight between the people and power-hungry politicians. And friends, this did not start in Texas. For over 200 years, politicians have used gerrymandering to choose their preferred voters, protect their own political interests, and avoid accountability. And let's be clear, it is wrong when this is done by either party. In fact, many of the points raised by my colleagues on this floor today highlight the harms of partisan gerrymandering and underscore exactly why politicians should not be drawing their own maps. That is why I was proud when California citizens chose a better path forward. A system where politicians no longer choose their voters, but one where the voters get to choose their politicians. Our Citizens Redistricting Commission is a model for the nation, and a model that should be adopted nationwide to end all partisan gerrymandering once and for all. Despite Governor Newsom's insistence that ACA 8 preserves this model, make no mistake that it undermines the will of the voters and forever tarnishes California's legacy as a leader on independent redistricting. You are all correct that the voters will get a say once again if this passes today. And I truly believe that they will see through this veiled attempt to return power to the politicians. As of this week, polls already show that 64% of Californians do not support the proposal before us today. So I urge you to reject this race to the bottom, to stand on principle and vote no on ACA 8.
Thank you, Assemblymember Hoover. Assemblymember Colruyt, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's really tiresome to hear these sanctimonious cries from the opposition to this measure. For the past several weeks and even months, as Trump has been clamoring for more and more power, talking about having a third term, and then very directly demanding seats be given to him that he's entitled to from Texas, we didn't hear our Republican colleagues say a word about that. When it's their party in control of Congress, their party in control of the White House. That fight was brought to us, and we didn't hear anything about redistricting and fairness at all until today, when it's brought to our doorstep, and we have to now stand up to defend our democracy against a tyrant. And these crocodile tears about, oh, what about the children? Oh, what about the health care? When not any one of them spoke about this big ugly bill that was passed that's going to take over $1 trillion away from Medicaid, millions in SNAP, giving food to children and seniors. They talk about a cost of an election. They never talk about a cost of an election when time and again they try to recall the governor. We didn't hear about cost of an election then, but we hear about it now. What is the cost of an election? Oh, about the cost of one Trump ballroom. So let's be real about what we're talking about. When we talk about getting on your knees, we talk about taking and bending the knee. You're bending the knee to a tyrant, and we will not have any kings. We will have no kings in America. Not as long as California exists. Not as long as we have the ability to fight back. We will not have a king. You all are choosing your supreme leader over your own constituents. You're choosing your supreme leader, Trump, over children that are going to lose health care and food. You are making that choice. And we're standing up against it. We're not going to stand up for trillions in tax cuts for billionaires. We're going to stand up for democracy. We are going to go down fighting for our democracy, and we'll let you be on the wrong side of history, Republicans.
Thank you, Assemblymember Kalra. Members, this is the second and final request. Anyone who wishes to speak must raise their microphone now. If they do not, we will not be recognized. Speaker Rivas, you are recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Quite the year we have had here in 2025. I'm proud of this chamber. I'm proud of my colleagues for meeting this moment with courage. President Trump wants us to be intimidated. And his playbook is a simple one. Bully, threaten, and silence. Then rig the rules to hang onto power. And we're here today because California will not be a bystander to that power grab. We are not intimidated, and we are acting openly, lawfully, with purpose and resolve to defend our state and to defend our democracy. And look, Donald Trump, he does not believe in democracy. He is terrified of losing, and he will do whatever it takes to cling onto power. We saw this on January 6th when he unleashed a violent mob on our nation's capital. And he did this to overturn an election. We saw it yesterday in the state of Texas, where Republicans advanced a mid-decade map designed to flip up to 5 congressional seats and lock in a partisan edge in the U.S. House of Representatives at President Trump's order. Again, this is the same dangerous playbook. If Trump can't win fairly, he'll try to make it impossible for Republicans to lose. And why? Because Donald Trump knows what we know. Voters are ready to hold him accountable, from California to New York, from north to south. But of course, President Trump, he doesn't want to be held accountable for his failures in an election, especially the next one. And that's why he is trying to rig it. And of course, our Republican colleagues in this chamber don't want their party to be held accountable by voters, and certainly not in California. Accountable for ripping away $1.25 billion from our state for food assistance for hungry kids, hungry children, our most vulnerable families. Accountable for the millions of Californians who will lose their health care coverage because of this president. Accountable for the cuts to our disaster preparedness while our communities burn and flood. Accountable for the communities in our state torn apart by ICE raids, neighbors, friends, the people who put food on our tables, shoved into unmarked vans by men wearing masks, taken without warning or due process. Accountable for tariffs that are driving up our grocery prices every single day. Accountable for corruption that makes Trump, his family, and his friends richer while everyone else struggles to get by. In California, we will do whatever it takes to ensure that voters, not Donald Trump, will decide the direction of this country. This is a proud moment in the history of this assembly. Californians, we believe in freedom. We will not let our political system be hijacked by authoritarianism. And today we give every Californian the power to say no to Donald Trump's power grab, and yes, to our people, to our state, and to our democracy. Mr. Speaker, I proudly ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All debate having ceased, state your point, Assemblymember Gallagher.
Mr. Speaker, in the past and actually earlier today, you've said that...
State your point of order, Assemblymember Gallagher.
You have said that votes are to suspend the Constitution. ACA 8 specifically says notwithstanding provisions of the state constitution. So when we vote on this, would you please reference it as a vote to suspend the Constitution, as you have done previously?
Just a moment, Mr. Gallagher. Point is not well taken, Assemblymember Gallagher. This is a vote to put the measure on the ballot for the people of the state of California. It is not a suspension of the Constitution. All debate having ceased, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 57, noes 20. The measure passes. The measure is adopted. Immediate transmittal to the Senate. Without objection. Members, we actually have a very special guest, historic Californian, who's visiting us today. And we're going to take an opportunity to take a quick break from Business on the Daily File and recognize Assemblymember Wicks for her guest introduction and Assemblymember Bonta for her guest introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I rise today to recognize one of the greatest athletes of all time. In addition to being an Oakland native, a proud UC Berkeley alumni, that's right, a business owner, a philanthropist, an actor, he's also the only man who has ever single-handedly caused an earthquake. I am honored to introduce to you Mr. Marshawn Lynch. He is a true Renaissance man. During his NFL career, Marshawn, nicknamed Beast Mode, rushed over 10,000 yards, scored 85 touchdowns, earned 5 Pro Bowl selections, and led the Seattle Seahawks to their first Super Bowl victory in 2014. Since retiring, Marshawn has continued to make a lasting impact off the field. From co-founding the Fam First Family Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering youth through mentorship, to starring in a number of movies, Marshawn has dedicated his career to representing and uplifting his community. He's also involved in a variety of business ventures, including Beast Mode Apparel, Rob and Ben's Sports Bar and Restaurant in Emeryville, Beast Mode and Beast Mode Productions, and of course, we all know his love of Skittles. Sorry, Mr. Gabriel. Please join me in giving a nice, warm California welcome to a leader, a legend in sports, entertainment, business, and community, Marshawn Lynch.
All right, guys, we're going to cut away from this. We were expecting a presser on Hurricane Aaron by North Carolina DOT officials, and in fact, it's happening now. So we're going to listen in. As you can see, lots of gusts of wind happening in this shot.
At this point. However, there is still pavement that is covered with water and sand, and until we're able to clear that off, we won't be able to make a final determination as to whether there's any pavement damage or not.
If there is any pavement damage, what could that mean for the potential reopening of the road?
That would mean a longer closure. If we actually had to go in and repair the road, that would likely mean a closure of more than what we're looking at right now.
Is there a count on number of assets you have down taking care of the stretch from here, like say past Rodanthe?
Yes, let me make sure I get that correct. We have 13 front-end loaders that are ours, rental and ours, 3 motor graders, 6 bulldozers, 4 DOT and 2 rentals, 2 excavators that are ours, 2 more front-end loaders that we can have on call, 2 more contractors we can have on call, and then of course if things get, we've got 16 workers, actually a total of 19 workers, and then if we need more, we've got 14 counties in Division 1 that are on standby to come in if need be.
Obviously, you guys are no stranger to hurricanes, no stranger to overwash. How does this response compare to what you guys have had to do in the past?
Well, I think the difference has been the fact that this storm never actually came ashore. I think that is what people expect when a storm actually comes ashore, but this storm was so large and so powerful that it pushed that water without even coming ashore, and I think that's where people might have gotten a little lax about this, is that they thought, oh, it's not coming ashore, we don't have to worry about it. Well, this storm was pushing enough water to overwash the areas that we're talking about right now, and in that way it was a little bit unique from what we see usually with tropical storms, hurricanes, and nor'easters.
Sir, could you identify yourself again?
Yes, my name is Tim Haas, H-A-S-S, Communications Officer for Division 1.
Division 1 of DOT?
Yeah.
State DOT.
Yeah.
Thank you. Haas.
Able to bring in the county manager for a second?
Absolutely. Mr. Alton?
Tim, can you just look at people?
Yes.
Okay. please identify yourself, sir?
Hey, I'm Bobby Outen. I'm the Dare County manager.
Could you spell your last name, sir?
Sure, O-U-T-T-E-N.
It seems like a lot of locals are thinking we're through the thick of this without major damage. You know, the Black Pearl, a sign of, optimism getting through these type of events. What have you heard and what kind of message can you convey to people that don't live here about what's gone on this week?
Well, we've prepared as a regular hurricane as we would do anything. On the recovery and to get people back on the island.
Now, Bobby, you're county manager for all of Dare County. What's your concern about what you just heard Tim saying about Hatteras Village and the breach of the dunes?
Well, the breach of the dunes is something that we would have expected in that area. And the good news is it looks like it was water and sand. We're hopeful that sand off. You just saw a bunch of pumps go by. We sent pump trucks down there to get that water off of the road so they can work, and so we're hopeful to get that stuff going in earnest tomorrow.
What else is being done or can be done, do you think, to help prevent something like this in the future? Or what would you like to see done?
Well, we have what's called an NC-12 task force. NC-12 is a highway. The task force has recommended the only solution to this that's permanent is bridging around these trouble areas. The problem with that is it's really expensive. So in the meantime, what we do is we do the best we can, and DOT moves up the dunes, we get the overwash, they move the dunes back, and we continually do that. We've been able to hold off the ocean for a while, and that's the only solution that we have until such time as the bridges could be built.
Ferry service. I guess unknown now, right now. When they start again?
Jed's here. He can tell you that.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything else, Bobby?
Oh no, I'm good.
You're good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. This is Jed Dixon. He's the head of the Ferry Division.
Good.
Jed, if you could spell your name for us real quick.
Jeddixon.
What can you tell us about the ferry service and I guess right now it's undecided.
Yeah, we're on standby. We finished the evacuation of Ocracoke yesterday, and we've got crews and boats staged ready to respond for any situation that may arise with emergency ferries.
How long will it take to get back to normal?
So we have to assess the channels. We'll do that as soon as the weather subsides. As soon as we get clearance from the Coast Guard and we can ensure the roadways are clear, we can resume operations. I would think a few hours we should be able to do that.
If I live on Ocracoke or I'm visiting Ocracoke, when do you think I'll be able to get there?
The weather looks favorable for tomorrow. We'll be doing our assessments in the morning, and we'll make the decisions once we know the channels are clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? You good? Thank you, guys.
Okay, are we good?
It ain't Isabel.
Got that right.
That's a breach.
That's a breach.
There's no timeline at this point.
All right, a quick little update there as conditions, as you can see, kind of deteriorating as this camera shot is up. A lot of wind coming off the Atlantic Ocean. We'll get another update and check of things there from the North Carolina coast in a couple of minutes, especially through our 4 and 5 o'clock hours. But let's go over to Majestic Storm for an update on what's going to happen here locally.
Well, good Thursday afternoon to you. I'm WCNC meteorologist Majestic Storm. I'm going to start with an update on Hurricane Erin, and then we're going to switch over to our local forecast across the Charlotte metro area and everyone else. So this is still a hurricane, a Category 2 hurricane. This is Erin, continuing to now move off to the north and to the east at 18 miles an hour. So it is picking up some of its speed, and this storm is going to be moving fast. It's still holding max sustained winds of 100 miles an hour with some of those those gusts reaching 120. As we bring it back home across the Carolinas, you can still see some rain showers up and down the coast. We have seen some storm surge, some coastal flooding and erosion, and we've really seen those big waves. It seems like Aaron was really a big wave maker. Over the next few days, rip currents will remain quite high, dangerously high. Not just today, but that includes Friday, Saturday, and then by Sunday, we'll start to see them get a little bit better, but still not the best conditions to be swimming out there. In addition to the rip currents, Aaron has also brought really strong winds. Those winds will continue to die down, though, as that storm continues to track to the north and to the east. So we've seen the worst of Aaron already, and now we're going to start to see improvements. And notice it's really been impacting just the coast. Inland not getting impacted by Aaron, and especially not in Charlotte. It has been very, very quiet. Here's the track of Aaron. Again, this is the latest advisory coming in at 11 a.m. Notice it's moving north and east really fast, and even by Friday and into Saturday, those winds will really start to die down fast, and eventually this weekend it's just going to turn into a remnant low. There's our satellite and radar. You can tell where exactly Aaron is. It's still very well defined here, again still standing as a Category 2 hurricane, but as we're looking up and down the East Coast, Aaron's also bringing with it a lot of cloud coverage. We have cloudy skies, and that has been the scenario for us for quite some time. It has been very difficult for those clouds to break up and to let the sunshine peek through, and today's going to be no different. Here's our surface map, so you can see there goes Aaron to the north and to the east. We're working with our own fronts, though, here in the Carolinas. Really, this has nothing to do with Aaron right here, but we are watching for the opportunity for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. Not only that, but even into the weekend just a bit. We are looking at still a lot more cloud coverage than sunshine. If we get lucky, perhaps a little bit of sunshine peeking through those clouds later on in the afternoon. But again, scattered showers, isolated storms, even spotty downpours. Friday, it's tomorrow. We're heading into the weekend. I'm not kidding you. Temperatures tomorrow only top off into the low end of the 80s. And overall this weekend, it's not going to be cool. It's just going to be cooler than we typically should be for this time of the year. High temperatures today, again, rising really only into the mid to upper 80s. 86 will be our high today in Charlotte. And here's our hourly forecast. If you have plans this afternoon, it's going to be pretty mild for the most part, a warm and muggy day. And again, watch for those spotty showers and thunderstorms. A high of only 80 degrees tomorrow, 82 on Saturday. I don't think Saturday looks too bad, but those rain and storm chances, they will be there. Even over the next several days, early next week seems quiet and also a little bit warmer. Notice scattered shower activity throughout the daytime hours, and then by tonight, a few storms could wake us up. There's our temperatures over the next 10 days. Only 80 degrees tomorrow, 82 on Saturday, and then warming things up by Monday, nearing 90 degrees. There's that 7-day forecast. If you get that sunshine today, so be mindful if you have any plans. Those passing showers and thunderstorms will be possible at any time. Hope you have a great Thursday.
All right, so obviously tonight going to feel good for those who are going to the game in Uptown. The Panthers playing the Steelers. Shouldn't be too bad of a night, but we do have some dark skies over Lake Norman right now moving in. So we'll get an update on things as we near the 4 o'clock hour. But let's go to this. J.D. Vance arriving in Metro Atlanta just today, speaking to a crowd. And has a lot to say about the president's big, beautiful bill. But in a couple of minutes, we are awaiting sports director Nick Carboni to join us from Bank of America Stadium to talk about tonight's game. We'll go to that in the next couple of minutes. But to the J.D. Vance now.
You represent courage, honor, sacrifice, the best of America. Thank you guys for your service.
Kind introduction, and before I begin, let's offer our appreciation and gratitude to the entire Alta Refrigeration team for hosting us at this historic event. Thank you. It has been 33 years since a vice president visited Fayette County. Some of y'all may remember. In 1992, February of 1992, Vice President Dan Quayle came to Fayette County. He visited Fayette County High School, and he went to Malier's Barbecue, for those of you who remember that wonderful place. In fact, Justin, Alta's incredible executive vice president, was there, and so too was our sheriff, Barry Babb. And 33 years later, we stand in one of the best places in our state to do business. The community we built, the community we have built, and the economic environment that we have created continue to invite investment from all across the world. And I'd like to acknowledge some of the local elected leaders who are responsible for this success. Fayette County Sheriff Barry Babb. Fayette County Judge Jason Thompson and his wife Alicia Thompson. Peachtree City Mayor Kim Leonard. Peachtree City Mayor Pro Tem, one of my good friends, Clint Holland. Peachtree City Councilwoman and someone who, along with Nancy Holland, is very responsible for the success of this event, Suzanne Brown. Peachtree City Councilwoman Laura Johnson. Former Peachtree City Mayor Steve Brown. Former Peachtree City Mayor and my first boss in politics, Harold Logston. Former Peachtree City Councilman Mike King. Tyrone Mayor, just up the road, Tyrone Mayor Eric Dial. Tyrone Councilwoman Jessica Whalen. This gentleman is the Dean of the Mayors of Fayette County. We've got Woolsey Mayor Gary Lagus. State Representative Karen Mafiak. And my predecessor, former Congressman Drew Ferguson. Now, if I can also ask all of the brave men and women of our law enforcement to stand up so that we can acknowledge your service. Thank you for protecting our community. Fayette County is one of the best places in our state to do business, but Georgia is consistently ranked the #1 state in our country to do business. So I'd like to acknowledge some of the statewide elected officials who are here with us that have helped deliver that success. You just heard from him, our Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who was recently endorsed by President Trump to be the next governor of our great state, Burt Jones. We have with us Labor Commissioner Barbara Rivera Holmes, Public Service Commissioner Fitz Johnson, who is up for re-election this year, and my incredible colleagues in Congress. We'll start with Congressman Buddy Carter from Southeast Georgia. Congressman Andrew Clyde, a United States Navy veteran. Congressman Rich McCormick, a United States Marine Corps veteran. And Congressman Mike Collins, our neighbor whose father, Mac, ably represented Peachtree City for 12 years. Mike Collins. Thank you also to Coach Derek Dooley for joining us. It is an honor today to welcome Vice President J.D. Vance and 2 members of President Trump's cabinet, Administrator Lee Zeldin and Administrator Kelly Loeffler, to my hometown of Peachtree City. My career path started on Willow Bend Road at Peachtree City Hall, and that path eventually led me to the White House to serve the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, for 8 straight years. And when you work for President Trump for nearly a decade, you certainly learn.
All right, everybody, we're going to cut away from this. We have Nick Carboni standing by inside Bank of America Stadium. Probably going to be pretty ruckus tonight. The last preseason game, Nick, against the Steelers. A lot of folks looking forward to this. What are some of the headlines you are going to be talking about and looking for on the field tonight?
Well, Colin, a lot of people want to make this about the players who are not playing. We're not going to see a lot of the Panthers starters tonight with a few exceptions. We will not see Bryce Young. We will not see Aaron Rodgers suiting up for the Steelers. He hasn't played all preseason. But if you really think about it, for about 40 players on each team, tonight represents a make or break moment in their football careers and their lives. There are people that will play tonight, Colin, that won't ever play football again, certainly not professionally. On Tuesday, teams are required to cut their rosters down from 90 to 53 players. I'm not great at math. 37 guys will be cut by Tuesday for the Carolina Panthers. So a lot of them are trying to put their best foot forward here on the artificial surface in Uptown tonight and trying to show Dave Canales, this coaching staff, Dan Morgan, and this organization why they belong, why they deserve one of those 53 roster spots or at least a chance on the practice squad, which you're one call away from the active roster. So that is what's always at stake in this preseason finale. We can talk about some of the competitions, the roster bubble. The biggest competition right now is kicker Matthew Wright, the veteran, against Ryan Fitzgerald, the rookie from Florida State. Been about even by everybody's count ahead of the season in the preseason, so they're each fighting for a spot tonight, and if the Panthers don't like what they see from either of them, they've got a lot of players that have been cut by either other teams in the last couple of weeks that they can go scoop up as well.
Makes sense. Yes, love to know about some of the competitions. Let's kind of expand that conversation because obviously a lot of the starters will not see any playing time tonight. But in terms of the wide receiver room and on the defense, because the depth there, we've talked all obviously preseason about some of the depth that they're trying to get on the defensive side of the ball. What are you looking for there? Can I ask?
Yeah, so the receiver room has been the biggest topic of conversation all training camp for the Carolina Panthers. It is a room that it's been quite some time that they've had this much talent, this much competition. So a lot of people think they may keep 7 receivers. Tight end Tommy Tremble is about to be activated or was activated today, so that probably lessens the chance they'll keep 7 wide receivers. But the 2 guys I'll be watching tonight for sure are Bryson Tremaine, big, tall kid from the West Coast, bounced around a couple of years on practice squads throughout the league, and David Moore, a veteran receiver who Dave Canales brought in last year and had a really good connection with Bryce Young. I think it's down to those. We'll see how they fare tonight. We should see Jalen Coker tonight because he didn't get some run in Houston last week. He had an illness as soon as they got there before joint practice. He's going to get some action tonight. Hopefully stays healthy, but he's on the roster. So to me, it's Tremaine, the young, tall receiver, or it's Moore, the quicker kind of slot receiver that Bryce Young had some connection with last year. Then, of course, there's the rumors swirling like the wind is right now in Uptown about Adam Thielen and whether or not he may be shipped back to Minnesota. Thielen, 1 year left on his contract. You've got an abundance in the receiver room, and he obviously has familiarity in Minnesota. They have familiarity with him as their second-year receiver, Jordan Addison, works his way back. It'll be interesting. The receiver market yesterday, the Saints traded for a receiver from Denver, gave up a 4th-round pick next year, 7th the following, and it was for a much lesser receiver than Adam Thielen is. So that is something to watch. But then the Panthers are balancing well. He works really well with Bryce Young. We've got a lot of unknown commodities in that receiver room, although we really like Xavier Legette, Tetairoa McMillan, Hunter Renfro's comeback story, Jalen Coker. Until they see it all on the field, Adam Thielen's got the game tape to prove he can play for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm not sure it'll happen, but it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, speaking of T-Mac, I did see on X that his jersey is in. I'm sure they'll be flying off the shelves pretty soon here, and people will be seeing the number 4 around Bank of America Stadium on Sundays this season and for the foreseeable future. Nick, let's talk about the defense because, you bring up another great point about Adam Thielen. Could they use Thielen potentially as a bargaining chip to shore up some of the shortcomings that they have on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, when I think about this defense, I worry about linebacker depth and even starting. remember they had Josie Jewell last year. He was pretty solid. He left this team a day before training camp. He was released, and he's still trying to work through concussion issues from late last season. Scary stuff, but they're without one of their leading tacklers from last year, also without Shaq Thompson, who's been a stalwart in that defensive room, that linebacker room for many years, even though he had some injuries the last few years. So Trevin Wallace is a guy that was forced into action, was forced maybe a little bit outside of his position and comfort zone last year, did well. A lot of potential as a second-year guy. They've also got Christian Roseboom, who they picked up from the Rams, who, similar to this year, was thrust into a starting role at inside backer last year in LA, racked up a lot of tackles. That doesn't always tell the whole story. After watching them this preseason, I'm not sure he's the guy they want to rely on for 17 games this season. So you could be looking at players who get cut from other teams that have an abundance in their linebacker room and let somebody go that they, really would like. Last year, the Panthers traded a linebacker late in training camp for a defensive back in Mike Jackson, who is still a starter here. So you're absolutely dead on. Could Picks be coming back for a trade of Adam Thielen, of course, speculatively, or could it be a player that really helps you address linebacker? Safety, I'm not so sure. I think there's still some guys out there if they really want, they can go get. What they really want at safety is Damani Richardson, a second-year guy, and Lathan Ransom, a rookie and draft pick who's had a really good training camp to kind of overtake that starting role next to Trayvon Merritt.
Give us a great background view for tonight's game. I think a lot of folks are, even though we don't cover the Steelers here often, people are looking forward to seeing the black and gold in Charlotte tonight. I know they have, a very prolific fan base. Is Aaron Rodgers, are we going to see anything from Aaron Rodgers tonight? I know they're trying to maybe keep him wrapped in bubble wrap for the season. But, what does that look like Steelers-wise? They've got DK Metcalf. They've got some explosiveness potential this year for the future. And I know, this is a game where a lot of starters won't be seen, but will we see Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. Listen, we will see Aaron Rodgers. Our cameras will find Aaron Rodgers. The network cameras will find Aaron Rodgers, but what they will find Aaron Rodgers doing is probably having a headset on, helping maybe call some plays, and having a clipboard and supporting his teammates. He will not play tonight, neither will DK Metcalf. Mason Rudolph, kind of now a journeyman from Rock Hill, South Carolina, who started his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a chance to be starter. They moved on from him. He went to Tennessee last year. He's back with Pittsburgh this preseason. He will start about 35 minutes from his hometown tonight here at Bank of America Stadium, where he has played before. But I will tell you, defensively, I think Alex Highsmith, the Steelers linebacker, may play. He's a guy that walked on to the Charlotte 49ers, ended up as one of their most prolific players in the NFL so far in that young college program's history. Look forward to seeing him tonight. Jalen Ramsey, veteran defensive back that the Steelers traded for this offseason. Of course, he's made headlines in years past for things that he said and also his play. I think he may suit up tonight, and that'll be an interesting test for those receivers we discussed, like Bryson Tremaine, Jalen Coker, depending on who Ramsey is on, to see how they fare against a Pro Bowl level at one point cornerback. So I think if I'm Dave Canales, I'm saying I hope Jalen Ramsey plays. I want my guys matching up with him just to see what they can do under the lights against a player of that caliber. TJ Watt, I don't believe he will play tonight. So yes, Steelers fans will come in droves as normal. I think they probably understand after so many times these preseason games are based on franchise relationships. So we end up seeing the Steelers, we end up seeing the Bills time after time, year after year in the preseason, generally in this game. So Steelers fans are kind of used to it. They make an annual pilgrimage here just to have a good time, be out here, hopefully have good weather, which I think we're going to get tonight, and see at least the black and yellow uniforms. But it's very interesting with Rodgers. He's not going to play at all this preseason. He's 41 years old. Only one quarterback has had the amount of success that Tom Brady's had past 40, and that is, of course, Tom Brady. And we know how things went for Rodgers with New York, an injury season, and he didn't play. And then last year was, full of turmoil. So it'll be interesting to see what the Steelers roll out week one and what it all looks like. We just won't see it here tonight.
Sounds good. That gives us a great overview, my friend. Anything else that comes to mind for you that you wanted to let our viewership know about tonight's game?
Yeah, so quarterback for the Panthers is going to be interesting. No Bryce Young, no Andy Dalton, but they brought in Bryce Perkins early this week. Bryce Perkins played on this field with Virginia 6 years ago in the ACC championship game. He's bounced around. He was a star in the UFL, and he brought the Michigan Panthers to the UFL championship game last year. And he will be sharing snaps tonight with Jack Plummer, a guy from Louisville, also played in an ACC championship game here, more useless knowledge for you, who played with the Panthers last year, was on the practice squad. I think Bryce Perkins, in a matter of 4 or 5 days here, Colin, could actually take that third quarterback spot with a good performance tonight. He offers some dynamic ability that Jack Plummer does not have, but we'll see how he fares. He's been a while since he's been on an NFL roster and played in an NFL preseason game. But cuts are Tuesday, like I said, 90-53. Can those two guys, which one of those two guys is going to win that third quarterback spot? I'm very interested to see what Bryce Perkins does tonight.
Cannot wait. Lots of storylines. I appreciate you keeping them all straight for us and looking forward to football officially being back pretty soon, my friend.
You got it, buddy. Thank you.
All right, Nick. We'll see you tonight. All right, let's get back to – oh, we're not going to go back. Let's chat some Panthers because we don't have much time on the clock here until 4 o'clock. Jeb, give me a takeaway from tonight. You usually have – don't give me anything crazy. Just who do you think is going to win tonight?
Unfortunately, I have had somewhat of a reputation on this show of spewing some hot takes. But no, I think it'll be really interesting. I'd be shocked if Adam Thielen stays on the team.
Yeah.
But for the first game of the season,
okay.
I love Jimmy Horn. I know you're a huge fan of his as well.
Yes.
I think the most interesting battle is at receiver.
Yeah.
It's the most fun battle as fantasy football watchers. Those are the guys scoring the touchdowns.
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I'm going Panthers. They need a preseason win.
Yeah.
They've looked awful. So this is the time.
The first game wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible
against the Browns. So I think might be the worst.
All right. Well, all right. You have a much harsher take than some of us.
I'm a critic.
You are a critic. You are a critic. But yeah, it'll be a fun game tonight. Obviously, Nick is there. We'll make sure to monitor things for you. And last game, as you heard Nick saying, tune things up to make sure things are ready for the full season. Just ahead about 2 weeks, and then our shift kind of changes. You'll see Vanessa and I on Sunday nights after Sunday Night Football. Looking forward to that, although sometimes those nights are a little bit late, but it's nice to spend that night late with you out there on WCNC Plus.